Okay, good evening everybody. Welcome to the Discovery Seminar. It is very exciting for us to all be here together with Rabbi Mizrachi. Rabbi Mizrachi came here in December, and any of you who were at that lecture may have seen it again on YouTube on the Torch channel. And we have close to 19,000 views of that hour and 20-minute lecture. So Rabbi Mizrachi is extremely sought after, and we're very grateful that he's here with us today. So thank you, Rabbi Mizrachi. Thank you. As many of you know, Torch is the sponsoring organization tonight. Torch is the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. And what we do here at Torch is provide adult education throughout the city so that people can learn and feel connected with their Judaism wherever they go, and feel connected in a place that's welcoming, inclusive, and is enlightening and enriching. Tonight, we have a special sponsor who wanted to stay anonymous, but he could stay anonymous till tonight. But now that we're all here, I want to thank Brian Thumb. Thank you so much. So we're all here to learn a lot tonight, and I look forward after the class tonight to greet you all again. I just want you to pay attention outside when you're leaving. There are a couple of things. First is Rabbi Mizrachi has thousands of audio CDs, MP3s, and other presentations that are available online, but also here we have an entire suitcase full. So on your way out, feel free to enjoy some of those and take them. Also, we have these little flyers that you may have seen of Torch programs. I just want to point out one of them, which is beginning in a week from this coming Wednesday, which is the Bar and Bat Mitzvah program. All right, it's an adult Bar and Bat Mitzvah. Last year we had 15 participants in the program, and this year we're looking forward to growing that number. It's a magical experience for those who have been part of it and would like to experience what it is to be bar mitzvah. You don't have to lane, right? You don't have to speak in public, but it's the taking the knowledge and internalizing it and really connecting with something which is magnificent. So I encourage you all, if you haven't yet, there's no pressure. You'll just enjoy it. I guarantee it. And there are many other programs that you can enjoy. Without further ado, Rabbi Mizrachi.
Good afternoon, everyone, or evening. Last time I was here, Baruch Hashem, it worked out to be a tremendous success. As Rabbi Volby just said, we had 19,000 minus 100 views only on his channel. But there's many, many thousands on many other channels. So we had, my guess, maybe close to 100,000 views on a lecture that we did here in Houston. Hopefully this one will be just as good. I'll be happy, or more. Since last time I spoke about some major differences between Judaism to other religions and cults, I don't want to go over it again. Just one thing that you know, I brought you 5 different kinds of CDs and DVDs, briefly, that you know what you're taking. One of them is the famous debate that I had with a Christian professor a few years ago that became already famous worldwide. And hundreds of Christians left Christianity and became Jews, Orthodox, fully observant after watching it. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's a day that I don't get at least few emails of Christians who leave Christianity and they join Judaism. Not that we run after them. We are not missionaries. Jews don't have an agenda to convert anyone. It's against our goal. We're not running after other nations. Actually, Judaism is the only religion, to the best of my knowledge, that allowed the Gentiles to stay what they are and still promise them heaven. Every other religion, when you say to the Muslim, listen, if I would stay a Jew, there's a chance for me to go to heaven. You say, no, you go to Gehenna, to the worst place. You ask the Christian, if I won't accept JC and I will stay a Jew, do I have a chance to go to heaven? No, absolutely not. You have to believe in him. And any other cult. The Jews, which have the only truth of God, and you're going to see some of the examples that I'm talking about soon, they are the only one who gives the objective opinion of the creator of the world to humanity. Nobody gave an objective opinion. Everyone has an agenda. Believe it or not, it's not the time to discuss this tonight, but even among Jews, there are cults that have an agenda, and they act as missionaries. And they're also false. You should know what I'm talking about. The truth of God is a public truth. He gave it to the Jewish nation 3,330-something years ago. And that's obviously a public event. Millions of people witnessed that. And in that book, there's no other. There's one book, one truth. Everything who came later, it's an imitation. It's full of contradictions, full of human errors. All you need is to be a little bit educated. No need to be a genius. A little bit educated to know right away that those religions were never written by the creator of the world. Why? The creator of the world doesn't make mistake in level of kindergartens. You know, people, as bright as they are, we make mistakes. People are people. Nobody is perfect. Almost there's not one book that was ever published without some errors in it. It's normal. Nobody gets upset. It's the way of humanity. But when it comes to the creator of the world, there's no room for mistakes. One mistake is too much already. One mistake shows it's human. You don't need more. You don't need more than one proof to know the book is not from God. All you have to do is to find one error over there. And after that, you know right away that this book basically was not given by the creator of the world. So I brought you the famous debate on a DVD. It's a 3-hour debate, all on the New Testament, proving to the professor that his religion, which he preached for 31 years and teach all the priests in New York, it's all false. And guess what he said in the end? I'll tell you the end. I'll give you some appetite to watch it. He said in the end, you put me in a hole, I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of there. So I told to him, I just proved to you Christianity was not given by God. So what was his answer? He didn't say, no, you didn't prove it to me. He said, but my heart doesn't let me live it. It was too good to me. I said to him, the heart is all illusions. Infatuation, illusions, all kinds of things like that. The heart is not scientific, it's not evidence. People have feelings. I give an example. Say if a terrorist comes to blow up innocent women and children, in his imagination, he believes he go to heaven for murdering innocent people. But that's only his imagination. It's in his heart. In reality, he goes to get a severe punishment for murdering people. Everyone who accepted the religion knows the 10 Commandments. Thank you. The 10 Commandments is very, very clear and leaves no doubt that people should never kill people regardless of religion. No one is allowed to murder anyone. Jews not allowed to murder Gentiles. Gentiles not allowed to murder Jews. An exception, there's a war. If there's a war between countries, a different story. Then there's different laws. But just to go and kill people because you don't like them or you don't like their culture, that's obviously against God's wish. And Jews who did it or would do it were subject to the same severe punishment, just like the Gentiles. No discounts here. All right, so this is one, it's the debate. And then after that, I brought you this lecture that we're about to get, some kind of a preview. I cannot do the whole 4 hours here, obviously. I'm sure you have other plans tonight.
No,
But
we don't have any.
they don't have. You already have some Israeli mentality. You already decided that none of you have plans. It's okay, I talked to them, they all agreed. So now, okay, so the Torah and Science is a very, very big success. It was translated to many languages, even in German and Czech, Russian, languages I didn't expect them to be, to Spanish now. As we speak, they're translating it to Spanish, some of it is ready already. And it's a film that leaves no doubt, after you watch it, it leaves you no doubt that A, there is a creator to the world. B, the Creator did not create the world for no purpose. He had a purpose for the creation. C, He created it for the human being. D, He would not create us here without telling us the purpose. He would defeat His own purpose. So He told us what He wants from us and what's the purpose of life. And that's what we call the Torah. Torah in Hebrew means instructions, Hora'ah, book of laws, book of instructions. The Torah is a combination of what's allowed, what's not allowed to do, and also recommendations how to live healthy life, how to conduct business honestly, how to make your marriage fantastic and beautiful with harmony and peace, always, how to raise children in a most positive and productive way, and also how to improve the corruption and the negative personality or character that all of us came to the world with. Nobody came to the world perfect. We all have negative in us. So the Torah, it's a book of instructions that if a person live according to it, his life is heaven here. Before he goes to the eternal heaven. Over here, his life is already heaven. He has discipline. He has a direction. His life is full of meaning. He knows he's not, like we say in Hebrew, grinding water, tochen mayim. Many people grind water. After a year, it's still water. You can grind it till tomorrow. You achieve nothing. That's an Hebrew expression, which means wasting his life. And it directs a person to understand that the real life will begin in a time of death. And that's why I brought you a film that I made. It's called Life After Death. Don't miss it. It's a 2.5 hours film. Also, we're translating it to many languages. There's no doubt. Listen, when I say there's no doubt, I mean it literally. Not even 1% doubt. After watching it, you will not have 1% doubt that the real life will begin when the soul comes out of the body will go to the grave, the soul goes up to the Creator, and everything will begin based on what we did in this life, which I'm gonna try to explain briefly. The rest you can watch in your free time in those films. Then, so those are 3 DVDs. Then I brought you 2 of my successful series. It's called Path to the Just and Pirkei Avot series. More than 20 lectures on each CD for the car, MP3. It's only working on cars 2009 and newer. So if your car is not 2009, you're gonna have to listen to it in a computer or in an MP3 player. But for the cars, only 5 years, the last 5 years, brands, it would work there. So we're able to put 30 hours of lecture on 1 CD, which is go from the beginning of the legendary book of Luzzatto, Rabbi Mizrachi Luzzatto, the greatest ethic book perhaps in a Jewish history, that's speaking about the purpose of the creation, the purpose of life, how a person reach perfect level in a short time that he will be in this world. It's fantastic. Even non-Jews who listens to it, it changed their entire life. Before they even watch Torah and science, before they even watch the proofs, before they still convince 100% that the Torah is the book of God, just by listening to this series, many Gentiles wrote me that it changed their entire life. Like one non-Jewish businesswoman, she has a big office with lots of employees. She was very, obnoxious, tight, strict, whatever you want to call it. And after she listened to that, it slowly changed her completely. So she said, this was such a great thing for me. This CD, it cost me $1 to make it. It changed her entire life and the entire office, the production. The office became one nice brotherhood. Why? Because the head of the pyramid changed his behaving. It reflects on everyone. It changed her to a completely different person. She is not angry anymore. She is having faith now. She understands nothing happens for no reason. And obviously it changed her entire business. This was a gold mine for her. $1 changed her entire business. She got to consultant, they'll charge her fortune with some limited success. But it worked out. Why? Not because it was my CD, because it's the advice of the Torah. Don't get me wrong. It's just because I presented what God says in His own Torah. And the last CD over there, it's called Pirkei Avot series. It's all the advice and the direction how to be ethical, how to live, how to be honest, how to be a hardworking person, how to be kind, how to have tolerance, patience for people, and to be humble, and and things. And of course, the way I presented it is to our days. This was written 2,000 years ago, but I brought it to our generation for people to understand how it reflects to our life. So those are CDs over there. You can all pick them up for free. And here we are starting right now. The beginning of this argument, it starts with a claim. What is the claim? The claim is we never found anything in history that was created, and any creature, any species, any device that was made, we can never claim that the video camera or the laptop or the microphone or even this bottle of water was created by itself. If a person would come, an intelligent person, and he would see a symmetric device, like a chair, a table, everything that you can see that someone put design in it. If he would come and say this computer was made by a random explosion, you definitely don't want to marry this guy. That's for sure. Maybe you buy his books if you will be a professor in Harvard, for whatever reason, but to marry him you won't agree. Why? Because inside of you, you know whatever he says, it's nonsense. Right? Do you believe that this laptop was able to be made by a random explosion? Millions of pieces gathered together and they all fell into place accidentally without a plan? Do you think it's possible or no?
No.
So why you buy books, or when you went to college, the professor told you that the world was made by a random explosion, and you say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. How much is the book? Why? Why you let them fool you so easily? Just because all the professors saying the same thing? Nobody can get up and scream, enough with this nonsense, we're tired of this. You know, when I was a kid, they had in school, they had a parable. It's called Bigdei HaMelech HaChadashim, the new outfit of the king. Yeah, so they got all the best tailors to make a special outfit for the king, and one guy came, and he said to the king, you look amazing. The king looks at himself, he's naked. The king said, maybe something happened to me. No one saying anything. So he said to his advisor, no, how does he look? Everyone was afraid to say, there's really nothing to see. And because the tailor was so confident, he said, look, come on, let me check here, let me measure here. So then when they went on the parade, thousands of people cheering, they see all the important people praising the king for his outfit. And one said, I won't be the first fool to scream, get myself into trouble. Until one little innocent kid screamed, Mommy, the king is naked. A minute later, everyone started to scream, and you know the end of this tailor, what it was. So this is what's happening today in today's time. There are professors who happen to be very intelligent. They went, they learned, they have a lot of degrees, they read a lot of books, but something doesn't make sense. Either there's no common sense, or it's a corrupted agenda, for whatever reason, to fool the people and claim claims that do not make any sense. To come and claim that such a sophisticated world, or a brain of a human being that has 10 trillion connections, was made by itself because of many, many experiments of nature, and there were so many thousands and millions of attempts until the cell was created by itself, and then another thing, and they all got together and they joined together, and the stomach was created, and it joined the heart, and it joined the liver, and the eyes came into place. It's a period of millions of years, yes? This is what they sell to us. Who would be normal to believe such thing? Why it's so important to prove that it's all random? Because by proving according to science, speculative science, not objective science, proving to the world, claiming supposedly that science is able to prove that the world was made by itself and there's really no creator, it releases everyone from the obligation to live according to the rules of this creator. That's a cheap trick. Like sometimes people come to me and I say to them, do you believe in the 10 Commandments? They say yes. So I say, okay, no, according to the 10 Commandments, you have to observe the Sabbath. You're not allowed to smoke, you're not allowed to drive in a car. Oh, so I don't believe in it. You just say you believe or you don't believe. You don't believe, we'll prove to you that it's divine. But the idea is when a person wants to get out of a mission, out of an obligation, he runs into denial mode. Denial mode, but the reality doesn't change. So now, some animals, when you attack them, they put their head inside the ground, they hide their face inside the ground like there's no danger. It doesn't change reality. A minute later, someone hunt them, and that's the end of them. Now, we go back to what we started. So, if there is a creator, if we look at this world, we know somebody made it. Who is this creator? We don't know yet. But someone made it. Someone with an amazing ability made the world. He made oxygen, he made water, he made mountains, he made sand, he made diamonds, he made a lot of interesting things in this world. 2 million different species, they all connect one to another. It's one chain. If you take one of them out of nature, it ruins the balance. He made billions of galaxies. He made the sun. 15 million Celsius degrees, 15 million. Here today, I almost fainted here from the heat when I got here. And it's only 30 degrees Celsius today. 30. 89, I heard on a plane. 89, it's about 30, 32. So 30, we almost faint. Imagine 15 million. That's the temperature inside the sun. And it never runs out. Did you ever see a battery who runs forever? And a commercial, they tell you, Duracell, Energizer, 2 minutes later it's here. I have all brand new batteries. Between the time I'm from New York to here, 20% of them ran out without using them, from the heat, I guess. But the idea is the sun is running for thousands of years, and the energy comes from somewhere. Nobody knows from where. No scientists know from where. But it's against all odds. It's against human logic. This energy is created non-stop and supply light and supply, whatever the plants need, and supply heat. And basically, without it 1 minute, there is no world. Eliminate the sun for 1 minute, we'll freeze to death, all of us, in a second. The world is finished. So, obviously, the Creator made a beautiful system. Now comes the next question. But what for? What for? If we try to eliminate religion for a minute, and we try to focus on our own human logic, common sense. If we take 100 secular people, and we ask each one of them, what do you think the purpose of the creation by the Creator? We don't know who the Creator is. It's not so relevant right now. Soon we'll get to meet him. But there is a Creator as a superpower who made this world. What would you guess the purpose of the creation is? Let's ask some of you. Not a religious answer, a secular answer. Person who lives secular, doesn't learn Torah, doesn't learn religion, doesn't follow religion, does whatever he feels is correct. When I ask you, what do you think? It's a secular common sense to the question, what the purpose of this creation is. What would you answer?
There is no purpose.
Did you ever see one product in a history that was made without a purpose? Show me one.
I haven't seen all products that have been made.
Anything you saw, I'm sure there's many thousands of them. Did you ever see something that was made by someone, regardless who this someone is? Anything that was ever made, ever, by someone. Did you ever see one thing that was made and you come to the maker and ask him, excuse me, why did you make it? He said, I really don't know why. Did you ever see something like that? No, we're arguing in an honest way, huh?
General Motors.
That's Lashon Hara. There's a lot of Jews own stocks over there. Anyway, so to the best of my knowledge, and I'm sure you agree with me, you never saw anyone who made anything ever that can answer, I don't really know why I made. Why you made a computer, Mr. Lee? I have no idea. Why you made a chair, Mr. X? I don't really know. Why you made a projector? I don't know. I was in a bad mood. I played games. It will never happen. Now, when you ask the person, why did you make it? Right away, he will be more than happy to share with you the purpose of his device. So, what comes first? The purpose or the creation? Purpose always comes first. A person first wants light. It's dark here. I want light. Let's think how we can bring light into the room. We have no windows, so we cannot rely on the sun. Let's bring light. So we begin to think how we design the light bulbs. We try here, we try there. We make all kinds of things until one day we have it. We want chairs, so we made it very comfortable that you can lean on it and it's soft. Everything according to the purpose. So now, is it possible that this brilliant, incredible maker of this earth and the rest of the galaxies that has such an amazing ability, he will do something with no brain in it? With no purpose? Of course not. It's 100% not logical. Some things is logical and not logical. You can argue, depend who you ask. Over here, it's very, very logical that the Creator had a reason for the creation. He's not bored before he made the world and the galaxy. What was he doing before that? He could have done the same thing before he made the world. He stayed in the same position. Why did he have to make the world one day? One day the world was made. Now, here comes the question that there's an argument between the scientists if the world was made or the world was always here. Now, did you ever see a creation, a material creation, material, that was always here? Usually everything material was made by someone. But let's claim there is an exception to the rule. The raw material of this earth was always here. How do you know? Maybe the world is for eternity. Rocks, maybe they are here, I don't know, trillions of years. Water, trillions of years. Water will never get spoiled. It could be here trillions of years. Everything else you see, trillions of years. Eternity, forever and ever and ever. It's no beginning. Make sense or no? Today we already know this assumption is incorrect. Why? Because scientists already proved in our generation that the world is expanding. Material always expanding. Now, when you rewind the film, now we have the world in a specific size. Now we press rewind. Something that is expanding, 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 expanding. You press pause. Now you press rewind. What happened to it? So it's going together, 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 until it gets to a place that there's no more ability to shrink anymore. That's it. It got to a little dot. That's, by the way, how the Torah explained the world was made. The world was made from one beginning, which was a rock. Even Ashtiyah. Where is this rock? Right above the Western world, inside the mosque of the Muslim. Why do you think the Muslim went to make a mosque over there? They read in the Torah that God said to Jacob, where he had the dream in the Moriah mountain, he said to him, this is the gate to heaven. This is the holiest place in the world. And when Yaakov woke up from his dream, he said, Ma nora makom hazeh. How horrible I dare to sleep in the house of God. I didn't even know this place is holy. And that place, by the way, was the same place when Abraham had the Akedat Yitzchak. Took his son Isaac to slaughter him, was right there. And they built the first Bet HaMikdash there, and then the second Bet HaMikdash. And then after that, 600 years later, the Muslim wanted to build a mosque. Where they will go? To where they read in the Torah, that's the holiest place, according to God, in the world. Now, Muslims and Christians, they believe in the Torah or no?
Yes.
They said it.
Christians, it's very easy. You don't need to know. You just know that they call the Torah the Old Testament, and they call their book the New Testament, which means it was made by the same writer. So there's no question. That's what the priest admitted to me. See, when I came to the priest, I already knew the opinions of Christians about the Torah. So since they admit that the Torah is the word of God, and the Jews admit, there's no arguments about that. You know, when you go to court, you and your partner had a delegation about money. So the judge is a clever person. As soon as the judge hears that, let's say you're arguing for $1 million, but the person who owed the money admits that $500,000 he owes. For that he admits. So what does the judge say? Okay, first give the $500,000. There's no question about this $500,000. You yourself admit that you owe it. We'll adjourn. We'll meet again in 2 weeks to argue about the extra $500,000. This is how it's done in the Torah. Two people holding a talit, the Gemara in Masechet Bava Metzia say. One say it's all mine, one say it's half mine. How is it possible? They have an argument. So the judge, the Gemara say, first half that they both admit belongs to Reuven, give it to Reuven. Now let's argue about the extra half. So this is the right way to judge. Why to postpone the judgment? On this, you agree that belongs to him, give it to him. Take half and give it to him right away. Now let's argue about the rest. Let's see who can bring proofs that he owns it. So if Christians admit that the Jews received Torah in Mount Sinai in front of millions of witnesses, they say, we witnessed it. Our culture, we know the Jews got it. It comes from our fathers also. Who are we? We were the nations of the world. The whole world heard about such an event. We are not denying it. Same thing the Muslims. Half of the Quran is quotes from the Torah. Ibrahim, Sarah, Ismail, it's Ishmael, Isaac. The whole story of the Torah, it's in the Quran. Not only that, the Quran repeats the story of the Exodus of Egypt and says in the Quran that God said, I took the Jews, my children, out of Egypt and I took them to the promised land to give them the land to my children. In the Quran. I said one time, when I was here last time, I said, if I would go to the United Nations, it would take me 5 minutes to finish the arguments about the delegation between Israel and the Arabs. In 5 minutes, I would finish it. How? I would say to the United Nations, which is many Arabs there, and many other who supports them. Israel has very minority of supporters over there. So I would say to all the Arabs, dear Arabs, I have one question for you. What book I'm holding in my hand? They will all say, oh, Bismillah. Ah, yeah, it's the book of Allah. So yes, very good. Who is Allah? The creator of the world. Very good. So now, we have to listen to everything he say or no? They would say, of course. Then I would open it and read to them 10 verses from the Quran. They would hide under the rug in the United Nations until Mashiach comes. Why? What does it say in the Quran? If you have a doubt about the Quran, go to the Jews and ask them. Their book is more accurate. It's a verse in the Quran that says it. It says Israel belongs to the Jews. It says that Muhammad spoke in some places very highly of the Jews. The opposite of what they preach in their mosque today. What's going on here? But let's get a little bit more serious. We don't care what the Quran. I don't care. You may care. Maybe in an hour you won't, but right now you care. I don't care what the Quran say and what the New Testament say without offending anyone, without disrespecting anyone. This is only a rational argument. Nothing personal against all of them. Respect them, wish them all the best, no problem. We are now here to prove. They are more than welcome to come and bring me proofs otherwise. So far, 5 years I'm waiting for the priest. And every other one of them who wants to debate me, I said to him, before we waste time, I know he wants the stage. So I said, before we will make a second debate, answer 3 of my 50 questions. 3. Once you answer them, then we'll make another debate. So one of them is a very famous one. He told me, buy my books and read. You don't really expect me to go and buy your books now. Send me by email. Answer to this question, this and that. 3 questions. It will take him 2 minutes. What? He knows the answer. He wrote the books, no? But he play games. He doesn't have an answer. The Pope doesn't have an answer. Let's talk. Let's see what I'm talking about. Today we have 80,000 religions and cults. Remember. This is a quote from the Quran. Pharaoh and Haman and their advisor were sinners. Pharaoh said to my servants, I know you have no God but me. And he said to Haman, light the fire. I want to go and look to the God of Moses and to build myself a tower that I can go up and tell him that he's a liar. Pharaoh and Haman could never meet for only one reason. When the last Pharaoh died, only almost 1,000 years later, Haman was born. So the one who wrote the Quran made a mistake. He took the Tanakh. he took the book of Genesis, which is speaking about Pharaoh, and he took the Megillat Esther, which is in Iran, in Persia, and he took two figures from here and there, and he faked a conversation between them, but he did not know history. That's all. One mistake. Haman was wicked, yes. Pharaoh was wicked. On those two, he was right. So he put two wicked people together. The only one problem is when one died, the other one was born 1,000 years later. Therefore, they could never had a conversation, and therefore, God never wrote this book. Because God doesn't make such ridiculous mistake that my little first grade kid won't make. Right? Common sense or no? Okay, now let's show another example. Who was the one who raised Moshe Rabbeinu? When Moshe was left in the Nile, who picked him up? Batya. Who was Batya? Pharaoh's daughter. But in the Quran they made a mistake. Vatomer Eshet Paro, the wife of Pharaoh, not the daughter of Pharaoh. Uye nechamali velachen, don't kill him. The wife of Pharaoh is not mentioned at all in the Torah, not even by a hint. Nobody mentioned her. Who is the hero of the story? Batya, Bat Paro, the daughter of Pharaoh. But according to the Quran, it was the wife of Pharaoh. God doesn't know who Batya was, the daughter of Pharaoh. He wrote in part 1, she's the daughter, and in part 2, she became the wife. Such a mistake. Now let me give you another example. Who JC, that Christianity is funded based on this life story, his mother was Mary, Maria, Miriam, same lady with a different dress. Same name, just in a different pronunciation. Who was the uncle of Mary? Who was her uncle? No, I should ask it even better. Who was the uncle of JC? Who was Miriam's brother? Miriam, the mother of JC. Everyone saw where JC came from, right? He is the mother. No question about who the mother is. The father, it's another story. But the mother, everyone knows where the baby comes from. That's, by the way, why Jews are Jews based on the mother, not the father, because the father you can never prove. The mother you can prove, the father there's no way to prove.
Father's faith.
Father's faith, 100%. So, according to the Quran, the uncle of JC was Moshe Rabbeinu. You're laughing, huh? 2 billion people run the world, shake the world, gain all kinds of support, and this is what their books say. They claim it's the book of God. God, according to them, they mixed two Miriam. Miriam, the mother of JC, who lived 2,000 years ago, and Miriam, the sister of Moshe and Aaron, who lived 3,400 years ago. So according to the Quran, Moshe and Aaron became the uncles of JC. When Moshe was 1,400 years before him in the Exodus of Egypt, and JC was in Eretz Israel. Moshe never entered Eretz Israel, as you all know. So you see, this is what I'm talking about, not just mistakes. Mistakes that leaves no doubt. This book was never given by God. Never. Never, ever. No chance whatsoever. Not a word there. Not only that, who was Muhammad according to his story? A person who did not know how to write and did not know how to read. Complete ignorant, living in a desert out of nowhere with no education. A non-Jew. And he comes and he claims that he's a prophet. Why is a prophet? Because he took a name of Malach Gabriel, Angel Gabriel, from the Torah, the angel of the Jewish nation, and he claimed that he gave him the Quran in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in the desert. There's few problems with the story. One, why would God give another book to a person that is not even belong to his nation? It's very clear in the Torah that God said that all his real relationship with people was through the Jewish prophet, through the Jewish people. All of a sudden, he's going to get somewhere, someone from a different country. It's nothing to do with the Jewish nation. And on top of that, he doesn't even know how to read and write. Did you ever see that he chose such a prophet before? All the prophets were very righteous, big rabbis, big Talmidei Chachamim. All of a sudden he chose someone who doesn't even know how to read a word. But not only that, why would God give another book that contradicts his first book in so many places, and he would give it to someone in a bathroom in closed door or in a desert? Doesn't make a difference. Why? He said in the Torah that his incentive is to give the Torah in front of millions of witnesses. This is what he said to Moses. Moses said to him, why are you sending me to Egypt? Anyway, no one would take me serious. No one would believe me. They will all tell me God never spoke to you. So God didn't say to him, why are you arguing with me? What did he say to him? He said, they're right. Why should they believe you? Just because you say story? But after I will speak to you around the mountain in front of all of them, וגם בך יאמינו לעולם, they'll believe in you for eternity. So what's the condition? If you come and tell a story with no witnesses and they don't believe you, I have no complaint against them. Very logical. Why should they believe everyone who comes and say, I'm a new God, I'm a new prophet, we should believe him? Of course not. But after I spoke to you and I will nominate you in front of all of them, they will believe in you for eternity. And that's exactly what happened. So why God would contradict what he said? He already told us how he feels about giving religion. Why all of a sudden he give it to a non-Jew that doesn't know anything from his life in the middle of nowhere with no witnesses? And on top of that, with such mistakes, of course, we know this book was never given by God. What about Christianity? You see, I'm making it a lot shorter than the regular plan. This is, by the way, the verses that I told you that I will read in the United Nations. You know, you can read them while I speak. So now a few words about Christianity. 2,000 years ago, a woman named Miriam, she gets married to a person named Yosef the carpenter. What the Torah called erusin is what we call chuppah and kiddushin. A husband put the ring on his wife's finger under the chuppah with witnesses. They have a ketubah. So what's the difference between na'ara me'orasa to na'ara mekudeshet? Only one difference. That here, after the wedding, they were not intimately together yet. So there is a marriage. The married woman, she cannot go with any other man. But the marriage officially would be perfect after they will be together at least one time. So the difference between Joseph and Mary, they got married, but they were not together yet. He went out of town and he came back and he see, Baruch Hashem, she has a nice stomach, and he asked her, I don't understand, I never touched you. What's going on here? How are you? What's going on? So she said to him, I ate a lot of cream cakes, I gained weight. No, that's not what she said. She said, you suspect me that I cheated on you? Shame on you! God came to me in a dream, and he made me pregnant. And this boy will be very special, We know it. We read it in the New Testament in the first page. There's only one problem here. What is the problem? The problem is, why from all the women in the world, God would come to a married woman? Why does he want his Messiah to be a mamzer, illegitimate boy? The Torah says mamzer cannot be a part of the Jewish nation, cannot marry anyone. It's like ban on a ban. If a married woman cheated on her husband and she had a kid out of the marriage with another man, this boy called a mamzer, illegitimate boy. There's a list of restrictions against him. He's a definitely second or third class citizen. It's very, very limited and his life is miserable. Why from all the people in the world he would come? There's plenty of single righteous girls. He has to come to a married one? That's question number one. Question number two, it contradicts what he said in part one. He already said that when he gives a religion, he wants everyone to hear. Not in a woman to a dream. In a dream you can prove what you had or not. Even the person who had a dream is not sure 100% about the details of his dream. How other people can testify if the dream is legit or not? There's no way to testify. And plus, there's another problem. The New Testament begins with the genealogy of Yosef the carpenter. Who was his father, and who was his father, grandfather, and father, all the way to King David. Why it's important to start the New Testament with linking Joseph the carpenter to King David? Why the New Testament has to start with King David? What's the connection? Why? Because the book that God gave to us, the Jews, it says Messiah, son of David. It has to be the son of David. Cannot be from a different family. It can be very righteous, but it's not going to be the Messiah. Only from the family of King David. So they're trying to prove that Joseph the carpenter, which is another Jew, is a grandson of King David. There's only one problem. If you look at the 4 evangelist books, they describe the genealogy in 2 of the 4 books, completely different. In one book, they describe 1, 2, 3, 4, 20-something generation. And in the other book, they describe more than 22 different names. So what is it like? Imagine now you have Torah. And in one chapter on the Torah, it says, Abraham, Terach gave birth to Abraham. Abraham gave birth to Isaac. Isaac gave birth to Jacob. Jacob gave birth to Levi. And then now you go to another chapter in the Torah, and it says like this. Terach gave birth to David. David gave birth to John. John gave birth to Bruce Lee. However, 22 different mistakes. How can God make such mistakes? He doesn't know the right order. Doesn't know the right order. What's going on here? But that's not even the main mistake. Okay, no, there's a lot of contradiction. The problem is when you ask the Pope, we ask not the previous one, the one before, the Polish one. We ask him, we send him a letter. Who's the mother of JC? He said Mary. He said, who's the father? He said God. So we ask him, is God a grandson of King David? He said no. So why did you waste a page to prove that Joseph has something to do with King David when right after that you said that Joseph was out of town when Mary was conceived? He's not the father. It's nothing to do with JC. Such a ridiculous mistake. I promise you, take a little kid, 5 years old, he won't make such a mistake. The one who wrote it had almost no knowledge at all. Such a low level of knowledge. And 1.5 billion people and trillions of dollars and churches everywhere, and it's all has nothing to do with God. The opposite. A Gentile in America that is not Christian, has no religion, no nothing, is much more righteous than a person that is fanatic Christian. Same thing in Arab countries. Muhammad that is not religious at all, he has no religion, and Muhammad that is willing to die for Allah, for all the laws of the Quran, the secular Muhammad is much better in the eyes of God than the one who fasts every year 40 days in Ramadan. Why is it? Maybe I'm exaggerating. Usually, if you know me by now, Baruch Hashem, in 20 years, nobody ever caught me on a lie. Baruch Hashem. And it's hard, because I have millions of people over the years that attacking, massive. When I say something, I have a backup for it. Now, why do I say what I say? I give you an example from the Jews. You have 2 Jews, again, without offending anyone. I hope no one is too sensitive here to think that I came to put anyone down here. Now, that's exactly the opposite of my intention. I respect everyone. I didn't come to speak against anyone individually. It's a philosophical argument like millions of others who took place. Nothing personal. You don't have to agree with what I say. If you have proofs otherwise, I'm more than happy to hear your opinion. No problem. So please, no, not to take it on a personal level. 2 Jews. One called himself Reform Rabbi, and one called himself an atheist. Itzik from Shenkin in Tel Aviv with the earring and ponytail, and the rabbi, whatever his name, he comes and says, Shalom Kvod Harav, hello Rabbi, please have a seat. Itzik with the ponytail, please have a seat. Who do you think is closer to God? The Reform Rabbi or Itzik that say, I'm an atheist? The answer is absolutely the atheist. But the question is why? He called himself a rabbi. He called himself a religious Jew. So why Itzik is better? Itzik is not observing Shabbat, he's not wearing tefillin, he's not eating kosher. He may even consider to marry a non-Jew. Doesn't care that his children will be not Jewish. So what makes him better than the Reform rabbi? What makes him better? The answer is, there is a difference between coming and saying, I'm a sinner, I'm not interested in a book, I'm not interested in God, I'm not interested in his laws, I don't care what's going to happen when I die, I don't care about reward and punishment, leave me alone. That's Itzik. But there is another person standing in front of us who come and say, I'm religious, I love God. I'll tell you what God wants. He wants you to marry men with men. But the Torah says it's a very, very big sin. Very big sin, horrible sin. The world should be destroyed and not to do such a sin. He said, no. Come, bring Itzik and Shmuli, let's make them husband and husband. That's what he said. The next day he said, I want to marry Isaac and Christine. I said, not allowed. Christine, she's a very nice woman, very nice, righteous non-Jew, everything fine. And the Jew, horrible person. But the Torah says Jews don't have permission to marry any other nation, not because the other nations are bad. Nothing to do with good and bad. I'm making it clear to you. The word Jew in a history and the most righteous Gentile in a history have no permission to get married. The Gentile is also not allowed to marry the Jew. He reads in the Torah that they claim and they learn in the church that it's the book of God, and he reads in the book of God that it's a horrible crime. How does he participate in such a crime? I had a case. One day I get a call from Florida, an Israeli guy. Pick up the phone. This is how it was. Rabbi, you ruined my life. Who is speaking? My name is such and such. His last name is Cohen. He said, I watch your debate with my wife, and my wife wants to leave me now. So right away I understood his wife is not a Jew, what she wants from the debate. So I told him, your wife not a Gentile? He said, yes, Sicilian, Italian. I said, but now even if she wants to convert, I'm not allowed to stay with her. Because a Kohen is not allowed to marry a convert. All other Jews allowed, Kohen is not allowed. So what's the point? Even if she converts, I cannot stay with her. So she told me now, I see that the Torah is the real truth. I don't want to be a sinner in the eyes of God. So I told him, shame on you. She saw it. You have a much bigger obligation than her, and you complain. And she's willing to sacrifice, and you complain? The end of that story was that this righteous girl was Jewish. She went and started to investigate, and she got a stamp from the Jewish court in Jerusalem that all the evidence that she showed that her grandmother was Jewish. And there was a happy end to the story. But just to give you an idea, that I was thinking that she's a non-Jew, was willing to sacrifice her marriage after she just saw in my film that I show in the Torah a few times that it's a very big sin for the Jews to mix with the other nations. And again, don't look for reasons. It's a decree of Hashem that his children will not mix with any other nation, regardless who is better. Even Eov, which was a non-Jewish prophet, he wants to marry the worst Jewish female in history. You name her. She's not allowed. Eov is 1 billion times better than her. He's a Gentile prophet. He's a very righteous prophet. Non-Jew. Big prophet. She's not allowed to marry him. Just for those of you who think that, we think we're better, that's why we don't want to marry them, that's not the case, Bichlal. Even if we see in our eyes they're better than us, still don't have permission. Why? God told us not allowed. It's nothing to do with our decision. Believe me, it would be a lot more convenient for us to marry whoever we want, fall in love with a girl, she's a nice girl, who needs the headache? It's not in our hand. So now he sits here, the Reform rabbi, and says, no problem, I'm the new God, come, I'll marry you. Itzik won't marry her. Itzik said, leave me alone, I don't want to be religious. But I don't also want to modify the book of God. God said to keep Shabbat, I'm not interested. He doesn't say you don't have to keep Shabbat. God said to eat kosher, I'm not interested. I want to eat whatever I want. But he doesn't say you're allowed to eat pork. You understand? Same thing over here with the other nations. When Muhammad, the Muslim, the fanatic, he follow a fake book. That means he tell the world, this is the book God gave. It makes him very angry. because he never gave that book. When the other Gentile, Muhammad, doesn't follow any book, it doesn't make any sense. He doesn't come and say, oh God, I'll tell the world which book you gave. Let's put the Torah on hold. This is the real book. No. You understand what's going on here? So it's an absurd that the Muslim who fast and kill himself with all these laws that they have will actually get punished more than someone who did not keep all. Two Arabs, one did whatever he wanted. One followed the strict laws of the Quran. The one who followed the laws will get a bigger punishment than the other one. And that's the truth, 100%. And if you understand it a little bit deeper, it makes perfect sense. This is what I always say for 20 years. Ignorance is the biggest enemy of the human being. Jew and non-Jew. Ignorance. When I got my first laptop, the only reason I got it is for this lecture, that I'll be able to go one slide after the other. They told me, listen, you don't know anything about computer. Even the biggest fool knows how to click a button. Wow. Don't worry, I will stand next to you in a seminar. In case you made a mistake, we have an assistant next to you. Because I was afraid from computer, I was primitive. So I said to myself, no, I'm still managing with the overhead projector. No speaker in the world use projector. These days are over. You have to use laptop. So when I got the laptop, you know how they say, Ima ochel ba ta'avon. With the food, you're becoming hungry now. You say, no, I'm not hungry. You smell the steak, you become hungry. As soon as you take, give me another one. What happened? You just say you're not hungry. The food made you hungry. Appetizers. So what happened? As soon as I got my computer, I got a little bit greedy. I said, you people starting to send me emails. I might as well learn how to write emails. I started to play. I figured it out how to type, and to send, press send. I don't have to be a genius. But that's what I was doing. I was getting a few emails a day. We're talking many years ago. Today, what I have in a minute, I didn't have back then in a week. What I have today in a minute. But back then, I still have, some time. So now, I type something. One day I say, I have a nice article that I want to give to my friends. Let me give. So I type it, and I press send. I begin to type it again, I press send. Type it again, press send. Like this, a week like this. Hashem saw what a fool this guy is. Let me send him a messenger. One guy walked into my kitchen. Looks at me, what are you doing? I'm sending articles. After a few minutes, he said, why are you typing it again? It's for the second person. How long have you been doing it? It's all week like this. He felt worse than me. Unbelievable. Who taught you like this? No, 1, 2, 3, check. Type it once, it goes to 1,000 people. Why do I tell you the story? When a person is ignorant, no matter what, not only in religion, in life, in accounting, in medicine, in computer, it can destroy his life. And it's sad, because 1 hour of education or 5 hours of education make his next 70 years paradise instead of Gehenna. So that's like they say in the Israeli army, what doesn't come through the head, comes through the legs. You don't come to the training for 1 hour and listen to the instructions, you're going to learn the hard way. You run for weeks, all night. From running you learn. Why? You had an hour opportunity to hear, it will make your whole life better. You don't want to hear, we'll teach you the hard way. This is like life is. So let's give you an example of what I'm talking about. Here you go. Let's see what JC had to tell his followers. In 1 page in the New Testament, any Christian in the world that watches it must immediately close the New Testament and never dare to touch it again if he has a little bit honesty in his heart. A little bit. He cannot be a Christian. Why? Not that I have anything against Christianity. There's 80,000 religions and cults. I'm just speaking about Christianity and Islam because we know and we hear about them every second. Just to prove to us, when we come now to the Torah, how you compare the real Torah to all the books who came later. This is the words of JC. Do not think I came to contradict the Torah or the prophets. This is in Matthew 5, verse 17 to 19. You can go and check. or the next time you be in a hotel, open the drawer, Matthew 5, 17 to 19, you read, remember me. It says like this, do not think I came to contradict the Torah or the prophet. JC is speaking. I did not come to contradict, I came to fulfill. I'm telling you today, even if heaven and earth will be destroyed, even one yud, the smallest letter from the alphabet, even one yud from the Torah, even a part of the yud cannot be erased. Therefore, if anyone will change one tiny commandment from the Torah and will teach it to others, will be cursed by the kingdom of heaven. This is it in English. Maybe the words will be a little bit different, but you can read it in front of your eyes, Matthew 5, verse 17 to 19. Now, do you know one Christian who observes the Sabbath exactly like the Torah says? I never met one. Even though there's a call to call themselves the seventh-day observant, advantage, whatever they call themselves, they have no idea what Shabbat is. You ask them what's the 39 restriction of Shabbat, they don't know anything. How they observe the Sabbath? They don't have oral Torah. Without oral Torah, we wouldn't know one law how to keep it. The oral Torah explains all Judaism. Without oral Torah, you don't know one thing from the written Torah. You cannot keep one mitzvah, nothing. Everything comes from the oral law that God gave Moses together with the written Torah. Therefore, all these codes who claim, hey, we keep this, we keep that, even if they think they keep, they're very, very far from what God said to keep. They have no idea what they're talking about. So, if JC told them, God forbid to change one letter from the Torah or one of the commandments, why they don't keep even one of the 613 commandments? Your hero, your Messiah, your Son of God, the one who you're willing to die for, told you no one is allowed to move one drop from any of the 613 laws of the Torah. Why you forgot about all 613 and you claim you're a follower of JC? Who are you telling stories? Ask the Pope this question. What would he answer?
Well, when they say they're not Jews,
No, but they are admiring JC regardless Jews, non-Jews. They say we have the right way. Why? JC is a son of God. He brought us a book. By the way, it's not correct because he never gave a man any book. Christianity started between 70 to 300 years after JC died. There's different opinions. Even we go with the most lenient opinion, 7 years, it's 3 or 4 generations already.
and there's no book of JC.
There's no book of JC, ever. JC never wrote a book. JC was a Jew that was kicked out of yeshiva, if the story is true. Even that part, there's no testimony about it. Just stories, fairy tales. I can come to you and say, the grandfather of my grandfather in Iraq, he used to walk on water. So what would you tell me? Very nice, Rabbi. I would come and say, that grandfather of mine fed 500 people with one piece of bread. It's a matter of faith. That's why in Christianity, you're not allowed to ask questions. If you go to the church, you say, Father, does it make sense to you that a person would feed 500 people with one loaf of bread? Son, we have to believe. We're not allowed to ask questions. It's a matter of faith. That's what they always answer all over the world in all the same languages. Son, you're not allowed to ask. It's a matter of faith. What does the Torah say? Wrong. You must ask. Challenge. Scream to the rabbi. Prove to me I don't believe it. How do I know he didn't make it up? When you have the truth, you do not block the mouth of the listeners. You let them ask whatever they want. If you don't want people to ask, that means you have nothing to answer. You understand? So here is an example how 4 billion people in the world following 2 books and they have no idea what they're doing. No idea whatsoever. Now, let's see another amazing thing. Who did Abraham bought the cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, and the mothers? It's Me'arat HaMachpelah. Yeah, the cave of the couples. He bought it from Ephron Achiti. Where is it? In the city of Hebron. Where did they bury Jacob? In that cave. Who's the father of Shechem in the Torah? Hamor, it's the father of Shechem. How many Jews went to Egypt with Jacob together? 70. All this is in the written Torah. In front of you right here. All these facts are in the written Torah. This is the questions on the left. This is the answer in the green. This is what the Torah say. In all the Torahs all over the world, there's only one Torah. By the way, one more thing you should know. There are more than 200,000 different Christianities. Did you know that? More than 200,000. Which one you want to choose? What does it mean? There are 200,000 different New Testaments in the text. Even if one of them was from God, it's gone a long, long time ago. Which one is the one? It's gone. It got mixed with all the others. You don't know. You will never know which one is the original book of God. You never know. If you erase one letter from the Torah, it becomes a napkin. You put it in a suitcase and throw it in the El Al luggage. One letter, one yud. You delete one yud from the Torah, you put it in a garbage bag, those big black ones, and you throw it by El Al. Hey, it's Sefer Torah, why are you throwing it? It's nothing. One letter came out, it's not holy anymore. It's not perfect divine. It became human. Look how precise divine means. Divine means if you have a billion digits with one dot, the dot is there, it's not divine, it's nothing. But you have a billion digits, one dot is missing, one tiny dot. It's nothing. The computer won't find the address. Enter an address to the internet. Put thousands of letters, one dot is missing. Computer show error. 404, error. I hate this number so much. So, what does the New Testament say? Again, kindergarten mistake. Look, reading about it. Jacob was buried in the cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is in the city of Shechem. Not Hebron, Shechem. What happened to God? He doesn't know where is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are buried? Can you believe such a thing? Imagine me coming here today and showing you a book and say, God gave me the book and I'm the new prophet. So all of you are clapping, Baruch Hashem, you're all polite. Then you open the book and he begins to read and he say, one day 2 airplanes crashed into 2 towers in the city of Brooklyn. What would happen in a room after that? Everyone would scream, Manhattan! So, but the book said Brooklyn. What would happen to me? If you Americans, you would say, poor guy, never. If Israeli, you take eggs. Get out of here, you liar. You're coming to claim that God gave you this foolish book? So why they didn't do it, the Christian? When they read that the cave of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, it's in the city of Shechem, Nablus, and the Torah, and everybody knows all over the world that it's in the city of Hebron. How they're not going crazy? How they waste another minute on it? Let's move on. We wasted enough time on this, but for me, it's very important to present it, because now when I speak about the Torah, you know to appreciate what does it mean, real divine. So this is a book of the Torah. This is the first example from the Torah, Deuteronomy chapter 4. The Torah is speaking about what would happen to the Jewish nation if they betrayed God, as unfortunately we did more than once. So the Torah says, "Lo ta'arichun yamin alea ki yishamet tishamtun." You would not survive for long. You will be, God forbid, destroyed. "Ve'efitz Hashem etchem ba'amim." God will spread you in the nations. "Ve'nish'artem etei mispar." Only few of you will survive. Remember, this was written 3,300 years ago. Look how it's precisely what happened to us. Only few of you will survive, and in your countries that you're going to live there, you will worship fake gods. The God of the wood and the God of the stone. Interesting. Those gods are worthless and helpless. They cannot smell, they cannot see, they cannot do anything. When you read it, you're thinking to yourself, it's probably speaking about idols. Idol you make from wood, you make from rocks. It's talking about idol worshipping. But let's think again. Which two religions have those two symbols, the wood and the rock? Christianity is knock on wood, right? The wood of JC. And the Islam have this big rock in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, every year in Ramadan, 2 million people around it, right? That's their big rock. So now, you may tell me, very nice, but that's a little bit manipulation. You decided that he speaks about Islam and Christianity. We don't see it clearly in a text, right? We have to be 100% honest. There's no manipulation here, only searching for the truth. So I will insist that it's definitely speaking about Christianity and Islam. Why? In order for me to explain to you, let me give you a little introduction. The Torah is full of mathematical codes. What does it mean, mathematical codes? If I want to send a spy to Iran, so I take a Persian Jew, I make him a mustache, you know? I make him dress like an Iranian in these days, and I send him to Tehran. Now he has to send me letters, but we know that they open the mail, especially when they see he comes to America, they'll open the mail. So he wants to tell me how many atomic bombs they already have. So he somehow got a job in one of the atomic nuclear facilities there. Now, how is he going to write to me there is already 3 bombs ready to go? And the size of them. How is he going to write it to me? The answer is we agree on a code. We say, you're going to write me a fairy tale story. I woke up in the morning, I had a headache, I went to the grocery, I bought bread, I made myself omelette, I lay in bed. Nonsense. But they read it. 2 friends writing to each other. But you and I know the secret. Every 50 letters of the story, I will circle with a pen, and I get rid of all the rest of the letters, then I put all the letters together, and that's the code. They would not know what to look for. You and I will transfer information to each other by code. That's exactly what God did when He gave us the Torah. He gave us the Torah describing what's happened until now, and what would happen in the future. But He also told us many of the details of our life today by putting them inside the text in equal mathematical minimal skip. The highlight on the word minimal. Why minimal? If it's not minimal, you can find almost in every book random codes without a plan. So many thousands of letters. You're going to find all kinds of combinations. No. We're not interested in 1 letter here, 10,000 letters there, 10,000 there. No. We want it all to be in 1 page to show that they're all connected to each other. The smaller the skip is, the more it indicates that it was a plan of the writer of the book. You understand why? Okay. So now, when we open the book of Adam, God created Adam, sent from the ground, and He blew into his nostril a living divine soul, and Adam became a living creature. That's where the Torah starts, with the creation of Adam. And then He put him in Garden of Eden, and He commanded him to be in charge of the trees, speaking about the trees and the garden. In that page, which happened to speak about a forest and a garden and trees, we have more than 50 words of all the fruits and the vegetables and the dry fruit that the Jews eat on Tu B'Shvat. Wheat, barley, carrots, grapes, peanuts, everything in equal mathematical skip, all of them in 1 page. In equal mathematical skip. Cannot be coincidence. In a page in the Torah that speaks about garden and trees, all the words that connects to that garden, it's all in equal mathematical skip in the text. In the chapter of Noah, who speaks about the sins of the homosexuality, it's speaking about that they come to rape the guests that came to the house of the Lot. Lot has a guest in his house, so they want to rape them. Man wants to rape men. So he said, take me. He said, no. Take my daughter. No. We give them to, they didn't know the angels. They came like people. So right there in a page that's speaking about homosexuality, the word AIDS, it's hidden in equal mathematical skill 3,300 before, 3,300 years before anyone knew about AIDS. Aleph, Yud, Dalet, Samech in that page. How AIDS came to people's body? From the monkey. They took blood from a monkey. It says in that page, Me hakofim, from the monkeys in equal mathematical skill. What is AIDS? Machala badam, a sickness in the blood. Machala badam in equal mathematical skill. All in one page who speaks about that sin. Now, let me show you what else the Torah says. Pay attention here clearly what's happening here. It says, from this yud right here, you count 50 letters. You get the letter, here, you count 50 letters, you get the letter shin. You count the circles, you count 50 letters, you get the letter vav. The religion of the wood and the religion of the rock, the religion of the wood, who is their main figure? JC. How do you write JC in Hebrew? Yud, Shin, Vav. Yeshu. Yud, Shin, Vav. Yud, 49 letters. Shin, 49 letters. Vav. In the verse in the Torah that speaks about two fake religions that would come in the future, and Jews will follow those fake religions, in that verse that warned the Jews, there are hidden codes. Yeshu and Mecca in equal mathematical skip of 49. Mecca, Mem, look at the square right here in the bottom. Go in reverse. 50 letters, you get Chav. 50 letters, you get Hey. So you get Mecca and you get Yeshu in one verse that speaks about two fake religions. The religion of the wood and the religion of the rock. Can something like this be coincidence? Don't forget. When he was planted in the text, there was no Yeshu, no Jesus, no JC, no whatever. You have it in my DVD. You don't have to bother. It's in the DVD. But it's okay. Now, and Mecca, the symbol, the most important city for the Muslims is Mecca. Mecca and then Medina, and then all of a sudden they decided Yerushalayim is also important for them, even though it's not mentioned in the Quran even by one time. Jerusalem is not mentioned in the Quran once. Look how much noise they make for Jerusalem. Mecca, Medina, plenty of time. Jerusalem, not once. Not once Muhammad spoke about Jerusalem. But now they see the Jews love it. They came back to it. They'll give everything to take it away from the Jews. Not that they really care about it. Why it's not in the Quran? If it was holy, it was in the Quran for them. Not one time. Check it out. Not one time. There is an Israeli professor, Mordechai Kedar. You see him on YouTube. He's a brilliant speaker. He spoke in Al Jazeera. All the Muslim Qadis. So he said to them, I don't understand why you care about Jerusalem. Jerusalem is not mentioned b'chlal in the Quran. So the Muslims started to laugh hilarious. Jerusalem is not mentioned in the Quran. They were sure it's 1,000 times there. So he told all these ignorants who claim they know Quran, he told them, come on, show me where. It does not appear in the Quran once. But the city who important to them is Mecca. And the Torah say there will be two fake religions, the religion of the wood, the religion of the rock. Let me skip some of the things and let's move on to an incredible prophecy. By the way, this is the ratio. Christian is about 33% of the world. Muslim 19%, by tomorrow morning will be 20. That's what happened in Europe. 9 against 1. In the European family, 1 and 2 dogs. And Muslim family, 8, 9. That's why they take over Europe. The Muslim woke up a little bit too late. Within 20 years, there won't be any more Europe. It will be another Arab country. There's no question about it already. So now, it says like this. Buddhists, it's only 5%, but it's hundreds of millions of people. 5%. How many Jews? 0.02%. Well, how much is 0.02 from 1%? 2.5. So it's 1/40th of a percent. That's the Jews. Imagine now, you have 2 sons. You give one of them from the inheritance. You give him 99.9, what is it? 99.99%, 98% of the money, and you give the other one 0.02%. What would he answer you? You know what? Take the 0.2%, leave me alone. Don't do me a favor. You're giving me. Thank you very much. Well, if it's Bill Gates, it's still worth something. You know? But this was the Jews. They asked now, they made a survey 3 weeks ago. 1/4 of the world is anti-Semite. When the majority of them that say all kinds of anti-Semite opinions never met a Jew once in their life. Can you believe it? They asked people in Africa, in Arab countries, in European countries, in Ukraine, Russia. They never met once in their life a Jew, the majority of them. So they asked them, how many Jews you think there are in the world? They say more than 2 billion. Why? They hear about it every second on the news. Just like they hear about America and Russia. Well, they thought they own the world, the Jews. Imagine you tell those ignorants, Jews are 13.2 million all over the world, from 7.4 billion. They get the shock of their life. What? 13? In Queens you have more people. Queens. Queens alone. Brooklyn they have more people. Serious. Brooklyn has almost 13 million people there. What's going on? They'll never get it. It cannot be. These 13 million people and the whole world is speaking about it? לא הדלקת את המצלמה שלי. לא, זה לא עובד. עובד. אז למה זה מעוות? תראה על הקופסה הזאת למעלה אם זה על on-off. יכול להיות שזה על off. יש שם איזה סוויץ' בצד. So, good evening, Houston. How are you going to start the video? Where were we? Here we go. Now let's see what risk the writer of the Torah took. What risk? Remember, there are people who claim the Torah was given by rabbis, by historians, unknown source. There's all kinds of opinions. For those of you who happen to believe or have a doubt who is the writer of the Torah, now in the next 15 minutes, this doubt will be gone completely until the last day of your life on this planet. Guarantee. How am I so confident? It worked 20 years. Why wouldn't it work tonight? Let's see. The Torah comes to the Jews and says it like this. Remember, this everything I show you was more than 3,300 years ago. There's no Google and Facebook yet. No telephone, no UPS, no mail, no radio, none, no text. People live here, people live there, nobody knows about each other. Okay. God comes to the Jews and say, go and check from the day of the beginning. Remember, this applies to us today. The Torah applies to all the generations until the end of time. So God said to us today, go check in the history. From the day God created Adam on the earth, from one side of the world to the other side of the world. Did something like that ever happen? Did a nation heard the voice of God speaking to him from the fire as you heard and survived? Or did God ever try to take a group of people from a larger group of people with magic and war and strong arm and miracles as God did to you in the land of Egypt in front of your eyes. Your eyes saw that God is the master and no other. Translation. What did I just read to you? Besides the nice words. There is a promise here that a human being will never dare to write in a book. God comes to us today and say, go check in the back. Don't hesitate. Go check. Here we're allowed to ask questions. Everything you want. Go check from the day I created Adam until today. There is any group of non-Jews, any group, from no matter what country, that came together and claimed that I revealed myself to them and made for them magics and did all kinds of things to them? Can you point on a group? Remember, the highlight on the word group, not one individual. Individual plenty of times. Group, 50, 100, 1,000, 50,000, a million. Did a group of goyim, of a non-Jews, ever came and say, wow, God just came to us and spoke to us and gave us this book, or did this to us, or we made the mountain fly in the air? Did it ever happen? Your eyes saw the miracles that I did to you in Egypt, taking you out of Egypt, speaking to you. You heard my voice for the first and last time in history. No other nation had this revelation. Now I want to make you understand one tiny important thing, and that's enough. To be able to write such a thing, you must be God. A person cannot promise it in a book 3,000 years ago. How does he know? Tomorrow morning, 5 Italians can come and claim that God spoke to him in Venice. Over there, you know, they were in one gondola. They're playing backgammon, smoking a little bit. Wow, a light came, we all fell down. And he said, dear Tony, I choose you to be mine. Dear Vinny, dear Antonio, dear this, whatever. And they all come and they say the same story. And we all know they're lying. We know for sure they're lying. Maybe they took something, I don't know. But they're lying. But even if they're lying, it would be the first mistake in the Torah. Who got the point? Why? If they say the truth, I understand. Or the Torah says, I will never reveal myself to a group of non-Jews. But if they're lying, why should I be worried about it? Because the Torah didn't say, did I ever reveal myself? No. The Torah says, did ever a group of Gentiles claim such a thing? Not if it happened or not. Forget about it. Just if they come, a group of 50 non-Jews would come and fake a revelation. So God came to us and spoke to us in the desert. That would be the end of Judaism. Do you know a person that would take such a risk to write it in a book? How does he know? Tomorrow morning, 50 Ahmeds would come. Mustafa, Saeed, come all of you. Allahu Akbar, he just spoke to us. We just saw him. Finish. End of Judaism. Takes 2 minutes to finish Judaism. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. All they have to learn, well, maybe take them a month, but they learn the story, and after they know all the details, they come and say everything that happened, and they learn it by heart. Go and prove that they're wrong. That would be the first mistake in the Torah, because the writer of the Torah took a huge risk. He said to us, to the Jews, you will never see a group of Gentiles claiming that I spoke to them. Only one individual. Never more than one. 80,000 times a faker started a new religion. 80,000 times. Not one time he brought a second witness. Always one story, one individual. Mary, a dream. Buddha saw the light by himself. Muhammad, alone. Krishna, alone. All of them alone. Why they didn't bring few witnesses? Why Muhammad didn't take 5 of his cousins? Saleh, take $1,000. Mustafa, $1,000. Ahmed, $1,000. Now I want you to learn the story. What's this? You all saw the angel Gabriel land back with his wings. There was big light, big storm, sands were flying everywhere. And he landed the Quran in my hand, and all of us fell on the floor and we screamed, God is great, God is great.
and he kissed me on my cheek. Look, and that's why I have a scar here. He made himself a scar. All of them say, yes, 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 no problem here, take another 1,000 tip, finish. It will be a lot more convincing, no? If one person come out of nowhere and claim God spoke to him, or 5 claim, you understand that is a big difference, no? Why Muhammad didn't bring another 5 Arabs with him? Why? Once you bribe witnesses, you are in their hands for the rest of your life. They blackmail you. Tomorrow he come, hey, Muhammad, you became a billionaire, everyone gives you donation, what about us? If you don't give me now $100 million to Switzerland, wire, by tomorrow I come to the whole world and I say how you bribe us to say that the angel gave you the Quran. We want more. It'll be a problem. He doesn't want anyone to know his lie, so he will never share it with anyone else. By the way, how many prophecies the Quran has? Not even one. So how they call him Prophet Muhammad? Prophet who never gave a prophecy. How many prophecies the New Testament have? Not even one. How many prophecies the Torah have? Let's make a deal. Bring the Torah, Rabbi Wolbe, if you have it here. Any chapter you open, I'll show you right there prophecies. Any page you open. Fair deal or no? 1,000 prophecies. One time I did that in a lecture in the middle of the night to Israelis. And I had one guy, is called Chachmolog. You know what Chachmolog? Like they say in America, a wise guy. But a real wise guy. A wise guy, he was really wise, but he also was wiser than what he is really. Sneaky. So as I say that, he said, oh yeah? Bring the Torah. I said, oh, that was 15 years ago. I didn't have the experience I have today. That's before I had white hair. So I say to myself, wow, maybe I got myself into a catch-22 here. It's going to open up. Imagine this page I want in front of the audience. I say, Hashem, I went a little bit too far. You got to get me out of here. This guy got the Torah. He is now, the moment of his life is about to open and prove me wrong. Guess which page he opened? He opened in Parashat Bechukotai, which every verse is a prophecy. Every verse is a prophecy. I start to go, in Bechukotai, begin. This Bet HaMikdash. You go, you build Bet HaMikdash, will get destroyed. The Romans will come, a goy from far away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in one page. So, okay, I got the point. How they say, he sat with the tail between his legs. That's what happened. But reality-wise, in every chapter of the Torah, it speaks about the future. What history book speaks 99% about the future? Do you know a history book who speaks what's going to happen in 1,000 years, or 2,000, or 3,000 years? Only the Torah. Torah is not a history book. It's a book of instructions. Let's give you another example. This is, by the way, what I spoke about in English, but we move on. Some of the things I'm skipping, as you can see now. The Torah comes to the Jews and say, dear Jews, I do not command you to believe in me. There's no such thing to believe in God in Judaism. It exists, but it's a very low level. If a person comes to you and says, I believe in God, actually he just told you, I don't believe in God. Why? Scientifically, speaking science language, when a scientist say, we believe that tomorrow morning there will be an eclipse. We believe. What does it mean? You have to ask him, dear scientist, how much you believe? So he would say 70% chance. Like they say, 40% chance for rain tomorrow. Would he put his life? You come to him and say, Mr. Weather, $1 million, you or me, that tomorrow it won't rain. So no, how can I? Even if I know 90%, I still won't put my money. Why? Because the chance is not going to happen. He doesn't know 100%. God comes to the Jews and says, I don't want you to dare to believe in me. You only believe in me later on after you know me 100% and you know 1,000,000% that I'm here and watching you and judging you and will judge you in the day you die for eternity. After you know all the principles of the Torah, now comes the faith. Let me give you an example. Now you don't know who I am. First time I showed up, I claim I'm the president of Citibank. President of Citibank. Now, if I'm the president of Citibank and I give you a check for $50, if I'm really the president of Citibank, what is the chance that the check will bounce? I make the $50 in a second. My salary, every second I make $50. Worth it for me to bounce a check and pay $30 fee or whatever? Doesn't make sense. If you know someone came and said, this is a check from Bill Gates. How much? $18. Would you cash it to someone? Or you wait 3 days until it clears and then give him the $18? You give him the 18, no? Why? But if you don't know it's from Bill Gates, you don't know. Maybe it's fake check. You didn't see Mr. Gates sign the check. Now it's a matter of belief. Hashem say, I'm not expecting you to believe in me before you know who I am. Before you learn to know me. To know means 100%, not 99.9%. 99.9% means you have a doubt. After you know 1,000,000% everything I say to you in the Torah is real, and I'm watching you, and I created you, and I give you oxygen to breathe, and I give you money, and I decide if you'll be sick or not, and you have children. After you know for sure all that, then comes the belief, the faith. What does it mean, faith? The Torah says the righteous people will get eternal reward and the wicked people will get eternal punishment. But it's not only going to be in the afterlife, it's also going to be in this life. That a person that will follow God's instruction in the long run will benefit. And a person who doesn't will pay the price. Right away the religious Jews come and say, wait, God, we know you're there. We already know the Torah could not be given by a person. We know that. We know only a creator of the world gave us this book. And we read what you say, but in reality we see the opposite. Here, I have an uncle driving on Shabbat, eating on Yom Kippur, stealing from all his customers, arrogant person, divorced 16 times, horrible father, drug dealer, making $1 million a month. And my rabbi from the shul cannot afford to buy bicycle. He comes in the rain in Houston, it's very humid, it's raining on him. Rabbi, why you wet? Well, hopefully one day I have $5,000 to buy a car. So where is this justice that you promised, God? That's called faith. God say left, and you see now right. He say right, you see left. You have to have patience. In the end, he's not a liar. That's called emunah, faith. But this can never come into place before you know who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with the unknown figure, you're going to put your life into his promises? So listen, this is a key moment here tonight. This is verses in front of your eyes. Look. Exodus 6, here, I'm going to put right away the English. And you should know that I am Hashem your God. Exodus 6, 7. And you should know that I am Hashem your God. And you should know that I am Hashem your God. Look, in a few different places. For it's a sin between me and you for generation to know that I am God. To know, not to believe. Now comes the scientist and say, excuse me, Mr. Speaker, I have a problem with what you just said. What is the problem? The problem is, I know that when I went to class in science, when I went to science class, I know that the teacher said, what we can prove with our 5 senses exists. What we cannot prove does not exist. So now, you claim there is a God, right? Can I see him? No. Can I taste him? No. Can I touch him? No. Can I smell him? No. Can I hear him in a room? No. So I cannot see him, I cannot smell him, I cannot taste him, I cannot hear him, I cannot touch him. He doesn't exist. Leave me alone, ma. I cannot prove him. Show me one time he exists. Let me touch him, let me smell him, let me hear something. Fine. But I cannot prove. What's going to be the answer to this scientist? In that case, you don't have any intelligence, Mr. Scientist. So why? A very intelligent person with high IQ. So you don't have any IQ, 0. So I prove, where is it? Where is your intelligence? Can you touch it? Can you smell it? Can you see it? Can you hear it?
They can measure
Can you
it.
taste it?
They can measure it.
How? Show me. With what tools you can measure it?
For intelligence and intelligence.
With the 5 senses.
Well, it doesn't happen. They're just looking for evidence.
With 5 senses, remember. We can also prove God with other senses. We're now talking with the 5 senses. You can test the intelligence. Delicious, right? Albert Einstein's intelligence is very sweet.
Something that you can taste it.
When Albert Einstein died, they opened the brains to see what changed between his brain to others. And they came to the conclusion that if you sliced his brain, in Israel they sell brains of the cow in a butcher shop. $9.99, brains of the cow. So if you take the brain of Albert Einstein and slice it nicely, put it in a wrap, put it with a sticker, $9.99 a pound, right next to the cow. Do you think anyone would know the difference? Where in this brain now, the holding now, there was the nuclear weapon? Where in this piece of meat? Where exactly is the knowledge? I cannot prove it with the 5 senses. But it happens. 5 senses, it's the tools that God gave us to run our life, to decide things, to understand things. But there is another sense. What is it? Common sense. Common sense. What's common sense? I'll give you an example. I turn the television on here in Texas, and I see somebody that's speaking now live in New York, and I see him in a box here. I cannot prove with my 5 senses that radio waves exist. I can't see them, I can't touch them, I can't smell them, I cannot hear them in the air. Cannot do anything with them. But I'm willing to put my life, holding the Torah, and swear on my life and my family life that they exist, without proving them with my 5 senses. How I'm so brave to risk my life? How? Common sense. Somebody speaks in New York. Now we have a box here. You see him right here in the box. When I was a kid, all day I was behind the television. My mother said, "What are you looking over there?" I said, "Where is the man sitting inside?" It wasn't plasma television in those days. It was big boxes. You could fit a guy inside. As a kid, I remember there were holes in the side of the television. All day I was trying to find out where the man sitting. Today I don't think the kids have this dilemma, because the TVs are like a piece of paper. But when a person says, "I don't believe unless if I can prove it with my 5 senses," then you will answer him, "Why are you getting on an airplane flying to Israel? How the airplane find Ben Gurion Airport?" With radar. Radar in the air. Can you prove radar? Can you see it in the air? Can you touch it, taste it, feel it? Nothing. How do you know they exist? You see the results. You see the results. Now, how do you know the Torah is the book of God? You look at what the Torah said, and you see that at the time that the Torah was written, even today, it was impossible for the most brilliant, intelligent, wealthiest, smartest, strongest person in a history to write such a thing. What does it mean? No person had this ability. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. The Torah says that all the nations of the world will know the hand of God. I gave them a heart to know me, that I am the Lord, Jeremiah. And they will know. Look at the language. Everything is know, not to believe. But there's one time that God's speaking about believing. One time in Isaiah 43 verse 10. This is what it says. "You are my witnesses, declare the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, so that you may know and believe me and understand." Look again. That you may know. First know, and then believe, and then understand. What? That I am He, before me no God was formed, nor will there be one after me. This is a verse that answers a lot of questions that people ask. Who made God? The children ask, but every adult has the same question. I'm sure you're thinking, but who made God? I know who made me. I know who made the chair. I know who made the computer. But who made God? This is not a legitimate question. Why? Only Albert Einstein told the world, material, only where material exists, time exists. No material, no time. Cannot measure time when there's no material. By the way, the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, 700 years before Einstein, said it clearly in his books. But nobody teach about him in Texas University. They never heard about the Rambam, named Ramban from Barcelona, who had a debate with a priest and in 20 minutes defeated them and had to escape to Israel because they wanted to murder him from the embarrassment he gave them about their Christianity. It took me 3 hours. It took him 20 minutes. 20 minutes, 1, 2, 3. The king said, you won. But the king told him, if you're lucky, if you're smart, is leave Spain today. By tomorrow you'll be dead. They won't tolerate the embarrassment, what you caused them. So, the Ramban wrote, time exists where material exists. That's, by the way, the meaning of the first word of the Torah. Bereshit bara Elokim. In the beginning. What does it mean, in the beginning? Beginning exists only where material exists. If there's no material, there's no beginning, there's no end, there's no past, present, and future. Past, present, and future exist only where you have material. When God created material, that second, that millionth of the second, the clock began to run. That's what it means in the beginning. Therefore, time is only where material exists, but God is not material. It's a super spiritual energy that we don't know, we don't have an idea what it is. One of the 13 principles of Judaism and other things in Judaism says that God doesn't have an image, doesn't have a shape, doesn't have a size, doesn't have a color. You're not allowed to imagine him in any way. Not by color, not by light, not by spirit, not by wind, not by letters, nothing. Well, who is he? Unknown. Superpower. We don't know. We have no understanding. The Torah says, Ki lo yirani adam v'chai. Nobody can see me and survive. When we die, we will all see him. But right now, we cannot see him. So what does it say? It says first, you should know and then believe. Without knowledge, it's impossible to believe. It's all fake. Let me give you an example. How do you prove the Torah is divine? Mamash in 10-15 minutes before we give time for questions. There are ways to prove that the Torah is divine. One, by the structure of the transmission. One is by the hidden structures. One, by prophecies. 20 years I do it and it never happened. There's some kind of a spirit here. One by wisdom, one by control, one by wonders in the creation, one by archaeology and one by psychology. Let me give you an example. What does it mean? Archaeology. Every time the archaeologists trying to find something, which books they go by? Harry Potter? They come to the Bible. They want to see where Joshua lived. Oh, Joshua had an altar in Areval. Let's go to Areval, begin to dig. They want to find the city of King David. They read about King David in the Tanakh. They found the city of King David and many other examples. So archaeology proved the Torah is real because everything they discover is thanks to that book. So the book is not fake. It has valid information. What does it mean, psychology? Moshe Rabbeinu gave the Torah to the Jewish people. When he gave them the Torah, there are people who try to claim that he made it up. But in less than a minute, you will know it's impossible. Why? Because Moshe wrote in the Torah that all of you heard me live speaking to God. And if you did not hear me speaking to God, how can I fool you? Can I come to all of you now and say I'm the messenger of God? And you tell me, how do we know? Because you all heard me speaking to God a minute ago. And if you didn't hear me, what would happen to me? Huh? Depends if you're Israeli or American. Israeli would stone me to death. Why they would stone me to death? And they're right. Such a faker. Oh, we won't let you leave this room alive. Why? Because Moshe gave them such decrees that if they now found that it was all a scam, of course they should kill him. What's the question? Let me give you an example what I mean. One of the rules that Moshe just brought them is that thousands of them has to get divorced. Why? They marry to their aunt. A person marries his father's sister. His father is 40, the person is 22. And his father has a young sister, 19. The youngest in a family. So, your father is 40, you are 22. Your father has a sister, she's 3 years younger than you. You grew up in the same area, by the tent, in the desert. You love her, she loves you, you're from the same family. There's no rules, nobody ever heard such a thing, not to marry your relatives. Sisters, fine, it makes sense. But my aunt, my cousin, what's the different cousins getting married until this moment? All over the world, Jewish cousins getting married. So, what's the different cousin or aunt? What's the difference? Same way you did not know cousins is a problem, you would not know the aunt is a problem. It's not, what do I have to do with her? She's my father's sister. It's not my sister. So many of them married to their aunts and now they have 10, 15 kids. Remember, there's no birth control yet. So each family is minimum 10. So now, you have 10 children. And Moshe just gave you a scroll, and you open it up and you read, Ervat dodatcha lo tegale dodatcha hi. Cannot touch the finger of your aunt, nevertheless to have relation with her. She's forbidden. It's one of the restrictions of the Torah. Horrible crime if a person does it. But she's my wife, what do you mean? We have children, we love each other, we're 20 years together. Tough luck, buddy. What can I do? I did not write it. Do you ever know a person that would write a fake book and would write about himself that is stuttering? That he has speech issues? Muhammad wrote about him that he's stuttering, that he's... What? Did the Muslims today would ever dare to say one bad word about Muhammad? Did the Christian would write something bad against JC? Show me that book. All the books from the fake religion admire their fake figure non-stop. It's more perfect than God. The Torah, full of Lashon Hara. Moshe, stuttering. Got punished, he did not enter the land. King David made a mistake. Hashem sent him Samuel. Shaul HaMelech made mistake. He got fired. Threw him out from the kingdom. King Solomon didn't listen to God. The women twisted his mind. The Torah says, "Vaya asara be'enei Hashem." After such a legendary life, bottom line, you made God angry. Why? Put it under the rug. Clean. FBI style. Clean what you don't like. Why are you writing derogatory comments on the holiest people in the history? Why? Why have to write that the 2 sons of Moses were not worthy to take his place? Why we would write about his own son such a thing? If Moshe was a faker, he would let Joshua become the leader? He would give it to his son. Gaddafi became a king. $200 billion went to his accounts and all his sons occupied Libya. Assad took control of Syria, put his son and all his uncles and cousins, all his family occupied Syria. Mubarak, with his son, controlled Egypt. The Iranian Shah and his sons and all his relatives control Iran. Every dictatorship, the first thing the leader does when he gains power, to benefit his relatives, give them jobs, money, bribe, power, that they're all loyal to him. Not only by the Arab countries, it's the same thing in politics in America and in Israel. As soon as the new government comes, they kicked all the other people, even if they did a wonderful job. I have nothing to do with you, I want to bring my own people. That's the way the world is. The only one who never did it is Moshe Rabbeinu. He gained control, everyone is under his control. The only family who did not get real estate in Israel, it's his family, Shevet Levi. The tribe of Levites. Every other tribe got tons of real estate. The Leviim did not get a piece of land. How can it be? You understand? What does it mean, psychology? The investigators of the Torah, I saw a letter, they wrote, there is no more authentic and objective document in history more than the Jewish Torah. It brings all the good and all the bad of all the people from the beginning to the end without hiding any detail. If this book would not be objective, it would not be an honest description of what really happened, we would not find so many derogatory things about the leaders. Why should we want our leaders to be memorized that they made sins? Why? Hide it. They did 99% good. The 1% they did bad doesn't have to be in a book. Why people have to remember it in their biography? Why? Now, we are now 2 days before Shavuot, the acceptance of the Torah. 2 days. What happened in Shavuot? Hashem said to Moshe 3 days before Shavuot, no man should touch a woman, everyone should go to the mikveh, everyone purify himself, get ready to accept the Torah, the book of God. All of them waiting. And as soon as Moshe brought the Torah, they just found out that all the meat they prepare for the Yom Tov, for the holiday, were all made by a regular knife. It's not glad kosher. 3.5 million people. How many cows you need to feed them, or sheep? Thousands. Each cow today costs $5,000. Multiply thousands of cows by $5,000, it could be a few $1 million right there to go to the garbage. And there was no Arabs to sell them the meat, halal meat. Today, you slaughter a cow, the long is not so smooth. Mustafa, I have another one for you. Come, give you $1,000, take the cow. At least you save what it cost you to raise the cow. Because they eat from Jewish slaughtering. They don't care about the lungs and the inside of the animal because they don't have an oral Torah. The main book of God is the oral law. The written, you don't understand anything from the written. By the way, it's very strange because in a written Torah, it doesn't even say how to slaughter the animals. So how the Arabs learned that they have to slaughter the animals, it doesn't even say it in the written Torah. Everything comes from the oral Torah. How you make tefillin? Everything from the oral Torah, 1,000 steps. One of them you did incorrect, the tefillin is not kosher. How you circumcise the babies all over the world with no communication. Everyone does the same circumcision with no communication, and it's not in a written Torah. How? Of course, very simple. Moshe came down. They read, in the 8th day you have to circumcise the male that were born. How you circumcise him? It's not in a written Torah. Let me show you how God taught me. Here, you take this, you check, if it's yellow. And they learn, he learn, everyone learn. They teach their children, and that's it. The Goyim also have tradition. Tony, this year, would light a Christmas tree or no? He would light. Why? Because Vinny did. How Tony know? He learned from his father Vinny. And how Vinny know? He learned from his father Tony. How does he know? Why none of the Christians ever brought a strange tree like this, 10 feet wide? They all have the same tree. Why? Because it's tradition. Everyone copy from his father. Nobody wants to change the law. It's the same idea, of course. Once the tradition started, every year we do what our fathers did. We do the same matzah, like my father did, like his father did. Nothing has changed. And mamash, before we finish, let me give you 2 proofs that in case you still have a doubt, after that it will be clear. The Torah says, these you may eat everything that is in the water. Which water? It did not specify. 72% of the world is water. 8-mile depth they reached. And the Torah say, you want to eat something and know it's kosher? Not only fish, everything you take from the water. In order for it to be kosher, it needs to have 2 signs. It has to have scales and fins. If it has fins and scales, kosher. If it doesn't have one of them, it's not kosher. Now we go to the oral Torah. The oral Torah right there in the bottom, and this is what it says. Everything that have scales have fins, but there are some that have fins and does not have scales. Some that have fins and don't have scales, you don't need to be God to know. Dolphin, sharks, smooth body. Every fish with smooth body, you can see. We saw in our own eyes. We saw dolphin, we saw sharks. You don't need to be God to know that there are such species. But to come to in the oral Torah and make such a promise, 7 words. The world is standing, all Judaism is standing on 7 words that was given to the Jewish nation 3,330 years ago in Mount Sinai. 7 words. If you will find them incorrect, Judaism collapses in a minute to 0. What 7 words? Everything you get out of the water in any generation, in any part of the world, any water, any kind of species that you'll get out of the water one day, if you found scales in a body, I promise you, you will also find fins. If you find one snake that you scrape the body of the snake and scales are falling off like the fish, that will be the end of Judaism. What do we care if you find a snake like this? Why it's important? So, there's a snake with scales. What do I care? No. I'm just showing you, my friend, that I am the one who gave you the Torah, the one who made all the oceans, the one who made all the species, the one who supervises how they mix and they create new species all the time. I will never let it happen. I'm in full control of the creation. If you will find from billions and trillions of things that are moving in the world right now, for the last 3,300 years and for the next 1,000 years, if you will find one thing that you took him out, oh, here, I scrape it, scales are falling, and it doesn't have fins. It has a tail like the snake. Or it looks like a star. Or it looks like a horse. And you scrape it, and scales are falling. That would be the end of Judaism. You know a person that would gamble to take such a risk and write it in the oral Torah? Things like this you'll never find in Christianity or Islam or any other religion. And there are thousands like these things. Thousands. I have thousands in my own computer. Me, myself. Probably there are tens of thousands. Each one of the proofs that I have, if you watch the entire film, you'll be shocked. The more intelligent you are, the more shocked you'll be. You will know right away. For me, in 10-15 minutes it was clear to me. I didn't need more than that. I saw one code of the Maimonides of the Rambam, and that moment I already knew for sure the Torah is from God. One page I saw, it was enough for me. I didn't need more than that. The rest was extra. Beautiful. One page. You want to see which page? We'll get to it. Here we go. We're coming to. I'll skip some. Let's skip some. This is the way the world is. Look, you see? You see the sun in the middle? You see the earth is going around the sun, and the moon is going around the earth. You see it? That's how it goes. Now, right now, the green spot is Israel. It's sunny there. Now, it's us. All right. Now, by the way, the answer to your question from an hour ago. How do you know in a minute that the world has a creator and the world could not be done by itself? Without philosophical waste of time. In 1 minute. All you have to know is the Milky Way. You know the Milky Way? How many stars are in the Milky Way?
Millions.
The ones that we know, close to us. How many? 9. They have a shape of a banana. You saw that? It goes, look at them. They go like an arch. But one star came out of the truck. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. All of a sudden, one is on the side. It's like a hand picked it up and moved it to the right. And the rest is going in the same shape. Which star was moved away from the sun to be put in a different part in space? The Earth. Do you know what would happen if the Earth would be where it was supposed to be in that truck? Before it was even created, it would burn to billions of pieces. We couldn't live here. It would be too close to the sun. 15 billion, 30 degrees we're fainting. Imagine 3,000 degrees. The only place in the universe which is endless, that Earth could be, it's where it is. Coincidence? Even statistically it cannot be coincidence. Even in university, so why are they wasting our time? You know what it's like? Universe is endless. The ocean, it's not endless. It's only 72% of one of the smallest stars, which is Earth. But even when you look at the ocean, imagine it looks like endless. In a billion years you won't finish to search the entire water of the ocean. Imagine if I take a little quarter and I throw it in the middle of the ocean and it goes all the way down to the bottom, 8 miles depth. It took about a week until the coin finally arrived to the bottom. Now I'm going to say, each one of you will have 1,000 attempts. Here is 1,000 quarters in a bag. Your job is to throw your quarters, that your quarter would land exactly on mine. If it would land exactly on mine, $1 million prize. How many of you will waste a day to go in a boat in the middle of the ocean to throw the coin that it will fall on mine? How many of you? No? No one, right? Of course no one. Now this is only 72% of the smallest star. Imagine universe multiplied by trillions. What's the chance that this tiny dot, that is our world, by coincidence will be exactly where it has to be in relationship to the sun, that we can live here? Otherwise we'd freeze or we burn in less than a second and we don't have life. I don't understand what's the arguments about Big Bang, many attempts. Where are the debris of all these attempts? Though many explosions should have been big, huge mountains of debris. Where are they? Nobody ever found them. Every year, the lakes carry to the big ocean 400 million tons of salt per year. Scientific research. Maybe it's one more, one less. But the idea, you get the point. If the world was only 1 million years old, forget about 300 million and billions and all the things that they sell us every other day. If the world was only 1 million years old, 1 million multiplied by 400 million tons of salt, the ocean would be a big mountain of snow all the way from here to the moon. No exaggeration. So how come there's still water? Do you know what it means, 400 million tons of salt? Every year multiplied by 1 million? Do you understand? 400 million ton. What is a ton? A refrigerator full of salt. Imagine a big side-by-side big refrigerator full of salt. This square like this, 1 ton. Not even. Multiplied by 400 million. 400 million, what did he say before? GE? GM it was. Oh. 400 million refrigerators like this come from the lakes all over the world into the big ocean. Multiplied by 1 million. You would have any ocean? You would have a big mountain of salt. So why they tell us that the world is millions of years old? Why? By the way, I don't want to get into it because this is an endless argument and it's also a waste of time completely. But if you don't trust what I say, please go to my website, divineinformation.com. I actually posted over there 2 films by an American scientist made of Texas. Robert Gentry. It's not a rabbi, it's not a Jew. It's a scientist who knows exactly the methods and the research tools that the scientists use to sell us that the world is millions of years old. And he criticized one by one and he proved to you that the world is only a few thousand years old. That's it. Everything else is story, baloney. So let's show you one more thing. They are not brothers, by the way. let's talk about the number of the stars in the universe. One day Galileo Galilei developed a 6 feet wide telescope. And when he raised it to the sky, the world was shocked. Why? Until that moment, everyone thought that there's maximum 6,000 stars in the universe. That's it, 6,000. What you can count like this, that's it. All of a sudden, they found out there's a lot more. Today, with the help of NASA and all the other telescopes, we're going back to the Talmud that was written approximately 2,000 years ago. And of course, the information was received in Mount Sinai 3,330 years ago. The Torah is telling us the number of the stars that God created in a generation. There were no telescopes, no NASA, no mega computer to count such numbers. Nobody was able to count 19 digits number in those days. Even today, no one can do it. Then you need a very serious computer to count such numbers. Take you 100 years just to count such a number. You know what it means? 19, I think it's quadrillion. I don't even know how to say it. So it's an endless number. So now, the Torah said, God said to the nation of Israel, my daughter, 12 sections I created in universe. And in each one I created 30 army. And in each army I created 30 legion. And in each legion I created 30 raton. And in each raton I created 30 karaton. And in each karaton I created 30 gistera. And in each gistera I hung 365,000 multiplied by 10,000 stars. And all of that I created for you. Who is for you? Who is for you? For the nation of Israel. Let's make a deal, God. Give me $1 instead of all these stars. $1 per star. It's a very big number. Why we need it? Why the Jews need so many stars? All of that I created for you, and you have the nerve to tell me that I forgot you and neglected you? This is in the Talmud. Masechet Brachot, page 32. Let's do the calculation together. Here, this is in English. You can see basically all the words that basically more or less the way I translated it. And this is in Masechet Brachot, as you can see in the bottom, 32b. And this is what the calculation is. 12 times 30 times 30 times 30 times 30 times 30 times 365 times 10,000. It gives us 19-digit number, as you can see right here. Let's see what the American scientists discovered. Actually British. In 1990, Dr. T. Brewhurst from Queen Mary College in London had a research with using mega computer, and he found 10 to the power of 19 stars in universe. But the interesting part is, not only he found the same number like the Talmud knew in a very primitive generation, there was no NASA, no telescope, no mega computers, but something very interesting. As you can see on the right side, this is the words, the definition of the Gemara. So the Gemara say, 12, let's go from the bottom to the top. 12 section, I created mazalot, it says, right? So how do we call it? Constellations. And then in each one I created 30 chayil. The right definition for that is host. Legion is the same thing, legion. Raton is divisions. Karaton is battalions. Gistera is camps. Stars are stars, the same name. Not only the scientists came to the same number, which is incredible. You don't know. I hope you understand what you're seeing here. They also came with the same 7 category, one inside the other, without knowing Talmud. This is a British non-Jewish scientist. 1990. He never went to yeshiva. Dr. Brewhurst. Maybe his name was Brokovsky, I don't know. Louis Pasteur was a French scientist more than 100 years ago. He had a friend, a rabbi, in Paris. One time he heard the rabbi say that they learn in the Talmud that when a person was beaten by a dog that have rabies, you have to get the medicine to the person from the liver of the dog. Even though the dog is non-kosher animal, because it's a life risk. So Faster, which was a scientist, he started to investigate, and a few years later he came out with the medicine for rabies. But one more thing he got thanks to that rabbi, about pasteurizing the milk. Why? Because the Gemara says it's better to drink water with black magic on it. In those days they were very afraid of black magic. Better to drink black water with black magic curse on it than to drink lukewarm water, unless if it was heated. If it was heated, then it kills all the germs, no problem. Now the Gemara says like this: if a person drank and left some in his cup, you're not allowed to drink the leftover from his mouth, because it can kill you. That's what the Gemara says, it can kill you. But how the Gemara knew 2,000 years ago? This is only a 100 years old discovery. Not only, but the question is, okay, if it didn't kill him, how can it kill me? He's healthy. If I drink the leftover from his cup, why can I die from it? So the Gemara already knew that there are some viruses that are sleeping in one person's body, but as soon as they are transferred to a new person, they become active and kill him in a week. It's very interesting. And the Gemara say, if it's in a ceramic, don't worry about it. But if it's in a metal utensil, it's very dangerous. There are many things in the Talmud. I have a lecture in my website called Torah and Science number 2. For instance, who was Benjamin Franklin? Do you know? You have him in the old dollar bill, $100 bill. In the whole $100 bill. Know what's special about Franklin? Who was he? Huh?
Advanced science.
Some people think he was the president of the United States. He almost was. He was a high politician. But he was also a scientist. No? So one day he discovered that in order for us not to die from the lightning, you have to put a piece of metal in the highest roof of the neighborhood, and the lightning will go on that piece of metal, and the people underneath will get saved. So he got a great recognition by the world that he found such a discovery. I'm sorry to disappoint the American society, but the Gemara already spoke about it clearly. The Gemara said, if you put metal between your sheep because you want to do black magic like the Amorites do, it's a sin from the Torah. But if you put it there to save them from the lightning, it's allowed. The Gemara. Watch my Torah and Science number 2. You have about 50 discoveries that revolutionize the world. And all of them are in the Talmud, and the ignorant world did not even know about it. It's all in the Talmud. And then they say, Talmud, people made it up. How people were able to know these things? How? Hundreds of discoveries over there. The last thing for tonight, the renewal of the moon. The Rambam, yes. The Rambam is the, what do you call it, the Hadran. How do you say Hadran? You know how the rock and roll bands, they say, thank you very much, good night, they go, and then they come back and the whole concert start again? Encore? Okay, I learned another word after 20 years. So the Rambam is the encore. So it says like this, the renewal of the moon, the Jews go by the moon to determine which is a new month. So it says, the renewal of the moon will never be less than 29 days and a half and 2/3 of the hour and 73 parts of the minute. It appears in Masechet Rosh Hashanah in the Talmud, page 25. Calculation, 29 and a half, half it's 12 hours, 2/3 of the hour is 40 minutes, 73 parts of the minute is about 2 minutes and change. It gives us this number, 29.530590. This is the minimal cycle of the moon. It will never be less than this. This was written 2,000 years ago with no telescope, with no NASA, with no measurement tools that we have today. And it was given to the Jews in Mount Sinai, and God said to the Jews, when 2 witnesses come to the Jewish court to testify, they just saw the renewal of the moon. The moon is renewing. Another cycle is start every month, approximately. That's what happens. If they would come before 29 days and 12 hours and 42 minutes and change, again, if they come less than 29 days and 12 hours and 42 minutes and change, if they come less than that, you know they made a mistake. Don't accept their testimony. Why? I created the sun, the moon, the earth, the whole system. I know all the cycles of all of them. You will never see a cycle of the moon start in less than 29.530590. Never. Not even by 1,000 of a second. Do you know a human being that was able to write it 300 years ago? How exactly he knew to measure it? With what spaceship? Maybe UFOs came to help him? How exactly he knew? Let's see what the Americans and the Germans discovered. This is NASA. We'll start with Americans. The NASA, in front of you, it's the original page. As you can see in the middle, Earth-Moon system. After many years of research, billions of dollars from the taxpayers that you're paying until today, and all kinds of things like that, they came up with this number, 29.530588, and the Torah 590, and they 588. Very, very little fraction of a second. The Germans are a little bit more yekes. They're more pedantic, more precise. You know how they say, you come to a German shul, the yekes. One guy came to pray Arvit there. So he comes to the Gabbai. They say, Ma'ariv 10:04. So you see, he looks at his watch, 10:04. He comes to the Gabbai, he says, Ma'ariv now? So the Gabbai say, no, now. 5 seconds, they fight over. One guy brought to the show where I pray an atomic clock. Atomic. I said to him, why? He said, this never go a second left and right. Big this, so we pray 3 seconds later. No, some people wants to be exactly. So the Germans are a little bit more precise than the Americans. Look, they came up with a better number. 29.530589. And the Torah, it's 590. Now I leave you one guess. Who do you think was right? God or the Germans? Or the Americans? This is incredible. That's why I call my website divineinformation.com. Why? It's all divine. Cannot argue with that. And right next to that, he say, dear Jew, if you keep the eternal covenant that I made with you to observe the Sabbath, don't create fire, don't sew, don't write, don't use the electric, and you make kiddush and eat and enjoy and sleep and make it like a holiday once a week, for that you will earn eternity of the greatest spiritual pleasure that anyone can ever imagine. And God forbid, if you violate my covenant, I will cut you out of my nation for eternity. I don't want to tell you, I don't want to ruin your mood here tonight, but you better dig into it to see what's the outcome going to be. To be a violator of Shabbat is not a joke. The Gentiles, they're allowed, no problem. They beg me to keep Shabbat, I have to beg them not to keep. The Jews, I have to beg them to keep, they beg me not to keep. Yeah. Everything is the opposite in this world. Yeah. It's not such a hard thing to do like some of you may think. Believe me, I met Baruch Hashem with Hashem Zel, thousands of Jews that were very, very secular, and they all observe today the Shabbat, and all week they wait for it. Beautiful. What's wrong with having a holiday every week? Get dressed, come to the shul, meet all your friends. Beautiful. Eating great meals, words of Torah, family gather, eating, enjoy, sleeping, reading, learn. Big deal. One day you don't drive the car. One day you don't turn the lights on. There's a solution for everything. Timers. Turn the light on, off. You can cook. You have hot tray. It heats everything. We found solution for everything. Today it's a piece of cake to observe the Sabbath. And the reward is endless, is no words to describe it. And to violate it, a person cut himself out of Judaism. Unfortunately. This is what we read. If you ever made Kiddush, you know what I'm talking about. What do we read when we hold the cup of wine? We say, V'shamru bnei Israel et ha-Shabbat, and the nation of Israel observed the Sabbath, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. To make my Sabbath for their generation an eternal covenant. Do you understand what does it mean, eternal? It means trillions of years, it's not even the beginning yet. Eternal covenant between me and the nation of Israel. It's a sign for eternity. That I created the world in 6 days, and in the 7th day I rested. A Jew that will dare to violate the covenant that we made in Mount Sinai, God forbid a million times, I don't wish it to any one of you, I will be forced to cut his soul in the afterlife for my nation, for eternity, and he will lose all the promises that I gave to my children. It's a verse in the Torah. ונכרתה הנפש ההיא מישראל. 70-75% of the Jews in this state right now. Unless if they repent, they stop, they start a new page. As long as a person is alive, he can repent. Once he closes his eyes for good, the horrible party begins. Now he has to be judged for everything he did. Ignorance is the biggest enemy of the human being. I didn't come here to make you upset. I didn't come here to scare you. I just came here to read to you exactly word by word what the book of God says. You want to accept it? Fine. You don't want to accept it? Tomorrow morning I'm not going to be here. I fly back. You stay here with your reality. But at least I know I did my best. I proved to you, I think, and I didn't even show you 10% of this lecture, and I'm not exaggerating. You see in the video how much more there is. I think that every normal person, it's more than enough to see that this book is not a creation of a human being. A human being doesn't care if people do not sow on Shabbat, or they not right, or they don't create fire. It doesn't benefit any human being. All these strange laws did not come from a person, because when a person is a faker and he makes laws, he makes sure the laws benefit him before anybody else. Nobody would make laws that, what does it give me that you not gonna eat the 5 kind of grains once a year for 7 days? What does it give me that you have to eat matzah? Do I get anything from that? What does it give me that you have to sacrifice all kinds of sheep in a holy temple? We only lose money. It doesn't give me anything. What does it give me if you eat this animal or not that animal? What do I care what you eat? If I want to be the leader, I tell you, give me money, give me honor, respect me, listen to me, I'm the smartest, I'm the most genius, bow down to me, end of story. Why do I care what you eat? Why do I care if you turn the fire on or not? What does it give me? 80% of the laws of the Torah not only do not make sense in human logic, they are completely against human logic, which leaves no doubt that a person in a wildest imagination would not invent such strange laws. Would never. Especially when not only they do not benefit him, they would make him the enemy of the public. If Moshe came and he made up these laws as chas v'shalom, as a faker, God forbid, what did he gain by that? Everyone would become his enemy. Why did he make his father and mother get divorced? Because his father was married also to his aunt, Yochevet. Amram, father of Moshe, was married to Yochevet, his aunt. And Moshe just brought the Torah and say, you have to get divorced from your aunt. You cannot be married to her. So Moshe would go against his own parents. Moshe would write that he's stuttering. Moshe would write to kill animals and the people would let it go. Why? What did he gain by that? Do you know one normal person that will make a law that every sin you do, you can take sacrifice to Jerusalem, you sacrifice it, you take the blood, You put a little bit on the ear. Strange things. What, a person would make such laws? No one would think about those laws, bichlal. No one would ever imagine to make it. You read the Torah once in your life, you didn't even need this lecture. This lecture is entertaining, it's nice, but really, technically, I promise you, if you read the Torah once with English translation, you don't need me. You don't need any rabbi. After you read it once, you will never have a slice of a doubt that is the book of God. But then you begin to read what he's thinking about you. And that's the sad part. When you read certain things that God said about the sinners, and you read it, and you say, wait a minute, that's me. Next page, wow, that's also me. Next page, wow, that's also me. That's also me. That's also me. Oh, me, it's me, it's me. You don't know where to hide. We're nice to everyone, but the one that we have to be the nicest to, we spit in his face every second of our life. With such an ungratefulness. Who is God? What did he do for me? Why didn't he give me this? Why this? Why that? Why this has happened? Why that? Nobody understands anything. Nobody read the Torah once in his life from A to Z, but they criticize it non-stop. I suggest, before the next time a person would dare to speak against the Torah, let's make a little deal. First read it from A to Z. Just the literal meaning. After that, you won't need me to tell you not to criticize the Torah. You won't have any incentive to do so. It will be so clear. The Torah says something that, believe me, just for that was worth it for you to come. This is what it said, word by word. 1 hour in the afterlife for the righteous Jews, and by the way, the Gentiles, as I said in the beginning of my speech here tonight, if they keep the 7 laws of Noah, they also go to heaven. There will be millions of goyim that goes to heaven, and unfortunately millions of Jews who will not make it there ever. There's no discrimination, no racism. Everyone will be judged based on his obligation. They are amigos, they are Ahmeds, they are Chinese. If they don't worship idols, if they don't murder, if they don't steal, if they do not make sex crimes among the 7 relatives and homosexuality and animals relationship forbidden, and they obey the police and the court, and they don't kill the animal while they're eating them, they first have to kill them and then eat them, and they do not worship any idol, and JC, Christianity is big idol worshipping, so that's automatically dismissed, more than 1 billion Christians right there. If they do not follow any idol, by the way, Muslims is not idol worshipping. So if a Muslim does not contribute to murders or to terrorism, and is just a simple Arab, and he believes in one God, and he doesn't steal, and he does not murder, and he obeys the rules of his town, and he never kill, and he never eat animal before they're completely dead, and he does not make sex crimes among his relatives, this Muslim, this Muhammad or Ahmed goes to heaven. And many Itziks will not be there. And many Avis will not be there. Why? Because that's the truth. I wish I can modify the Torah. I wish. Maybe I would make some discounts. But who asked me what's my opinion or what's your opinion? We're not a factory. We are judged. We are the students. He is the boss. He is the boss. We are only follow the instructions. So it says like this. If you take all the pleasures of all the people, of all the generations, from the beginning of this world until the end combined. Money, vacations, sports, women, jewelry, food, you name it. Add everything together of every individual, we have 7.4 billion. And the last generation we had maybe 5 billion, and the one before 3 billion, and the one before maybe 1 billion. Add all of them together, of 70, 80 years average life, added together, every second of his day, any pleasure you ever had, every good steak you had, every vacation you went, swimming, a movie, I don't know, whatever you like, add everything together. Listen to this, it's not an exaggeration, it's the words of God. You add all the pleasure of all the people combined, it will not be equal to the reward of the righteous Jews 1 hour in the afterlife. 1 hour! Now multiply it by endless, eternity. And people who drive to Macy's on Shabbat would lose all of it. Isn't it a shame? Think about it. Why? The Torah says, "Lo tevaru esh bechol moshvotechem beyom haShabbat." Do not dare to create fire on the Sabbath. I did not create anything on the 7th day, and I want each one of my children to be like me. Each one of the Jews have to be a little God. Where the Christians got the idea of son of God? They read in the Torah that God said to the Jews, "Banim atem laHashem Elokechem." You are my children. I chose you from all the nations to be my children. A prince cannot play in a park like a homeless. He has to wear the royal clothes and he has to behave like a prince. Cannot smoke drugs with his friends on the beach when he's representing the king. The Jew cannot do what the Goyim can do. The Goy can dress whatever he wants. It's not a crime. The Goy can drive on Shabbat. It's not a crime. The Goy can eat rats and cats and cockroaches, and it's not a crime. The Goy doesn't need to get married. The Goyim don't have to get married. They copy from the Jews, Christian, Muslims. They don't have to get married. Chris and Christine like each other in a bar. You want to move in with me? Yes. They move in. They have kids tomorrow morning. It's not a sin. Not a sin. The church mess up their life. I had a Christian Goya from Colombia. She lives in America. She told me, "I heard your lecture. I got the shock of my life. I was in love with a guy 5 years. And the church told me, you must break up with him. Why? Since you did not get married until now, you live in a sin. You have to separate. And they forced me to leave him, otherwise they show me the way out. And I broke up with him, and I lost him. Now I just found out that you said that the two Goyim can live in, and it's not a sin for them." Do you understand what's happening with fake religions? Not only they do not help the Goyim, they mess up their life. God didn't care that this girl and that Goy that she lived with would live together and enjoy life. They allowed. The Jews are not allowed. Jews have to get married first. He has to buy his wife. He has to put a ring on her, to buy her, and if one day divorce her, the Torah says to give her a book, which we call get. After she got it, she's permitted to other. The Goyim, it's very simple by them. Chris like Christine, you want to move in? Yes. Once they live together, they're not allowed to cheat. And if one day they want to break up, "Thank you, it was nice knowing you." She takes her stuff, he takes his stuff, they give back the apartment, everyone goes to his direction. A minute later, she can find another Chris and move in with him. No problem. No sin, no problem. All her life she's a righteous Gentile. And he, no problem by them. There's no sin of wasting seeds by them. They can eat whatever they want. They're not allowed to murder. They're not allowed to steal. They're not allowed to be idol worshipping. If they worship like the Buddhists and the Hindus and the Christians, I told you Muslims is not idol worshipping. But almost the rest of all of them is idol worshipping. They worship all kinds of idols. That's a very big sin for a Gentile, and with severe punishments. Because God cannot stand anyone who worship another idol. And JC, after he died, they made him a god. And he was nothing but a sinner Jew that was kicked out of the yeshiva if he was alive. There's no guarantee that he was even a person like this. There's not one proof that JC ever lived. Did you ever know that? Nobody ever saw him. Nobody ever saw his image. Nobody knows if this story has really happened. It just could be a myth. Not only that, in other cults that are before Christianity, there is exactly the same story like Christianity of a person who was born to a virgin that will be the son of God and all that. Same story. So they copy it from them. And this story is like the Greek mythology. All baloney. Like they say in English, Bobamaises. That's what it is. And now the code of the Rambam, as you all waited, this is one page who already made it clear to me that after I saw it, that the Torah could never be written by a human being. As you can see, I'm skipping a lot of incredible things. This is, by the way, a code of the Holocaust. People got upset at me that I said the Holocaust was a punishment from God. So I answered, so what did you think? It was a reward?
What was it? It was reward? It was coincidence? Where was God? Was he sleeping? The answer, he closed his eyes. Here, it says right here in the Torah. It says, and Hashem said to Moses, one day you lay with your father, which means after you die, וקם העם הזה וזנה אחרי אלוהי לכר. This nation will rebel against me and follow other religions. In the country where they will live there. And they would leave me and break my covenant that I made with them. And at that day I would be very angry at them and I would leave them, ועזבתים, and I would block my face away from them. And they will have tons of tragedies. And then they will say, it's all happening to us because there is no God among us. That's why all these tragedies are coming to us. And I will hide my face at that day from them for all the bad they did to me, following fake cultures and religions. Now you may say, okay, that's definitely describing a massive tragedy. But how do you know it's the Holocaust? The answer is, remember what I showed you before? Look again. See this green hay? Count together. From the hay, you count 50 letters, you get Shin. You count 50 letters, you get Vav. You count 50 letters, you get Aleph. You count 50 letters, you get Hey. HaShoah, the Holocaust, in equal mathematical skip that leaves no doubt. It's a punishment from Hashem, whether we like it, whether we don't like it. Nobody asks our opinion here. We can scream and bark as much as we want. Reality, we paid the price. 80% of the Jews in Germany married the Goyim. That was the reality. Almost nobody left the yarmulke on. Beards were gone. They changed the Siddur that they dreamed to go to Berlin, not to Jerusalem. Started to change the Tefillah. In Poland, they were more religious, but there was other problems over there. And Czechoslovakia, and Hungary, and the Arab countries, the plan of the Nazis was to go to the Arab countries as well. And they're already on the way to go to Israel, to go to Jordan, to all these places, to Egypt. And the Mufti of Israel, Husseini, the Palestinian, welcomed Hitler, and there's a big meeting with pictures, and he invites him to Israel. And then, just before he went to the Arab countries, they collapsed. They did not kill the Arab Jews, what we call Sephardi. But 2 countries, they did kill Sephardic Jews. Who? Greece and Tunisia. Tunisia, Libya. Why? Because the French, the Italians, they took over there, and life was very European over there. Everyone speaks French, Italian. And the Greeks left the Torah completely. Saloniki used to be a center of many big rabbis and yeshivot. Just before the Holocaust, there was a massive turn down. People left the religion, and the problem happened. We do not know why God does what He wants. I'm not the speaker that was sent from heaven to explain His actions, definitely not. I can only do the best we can by reviewing His book, what He warned, and what the book indicates. To swear on my life that the reason that it happened in this country and the other more or less, I of course cannot do it, because I don't know for sure. But we definitely know that when something like this happens, it's not a reward. It's obviously a punishment. When millions of people die like this in such horrible situation, so why people get upset? Because nobody wants to admit we brought it to ourselves. Nobody. It's much easier to blame God. And God already said that we're going to blame Him. Where does He say that? Who speaks Hebrew here? Only you? Only. Okay, so now you tell me if I translate correctly or not. איוולת אדם תסלף דרכו ועל השם יזעף ליבו. Translation. Stupidity of the human being will turn him away from the way of God, and he will blame God. Got it? When a person goes against Hashem, who is he blaming in the end? That he didn't succeed? Not himself. Nobody criticizes himself. It's like the kids.
When you tell him why you got 40 on the test, it's my teacher. It's never his fault. It's always the teacher. This is the code of the Rambam. Where is it? No. Here he comes. Look how many beautiful things we have on the video. Oh, here we go. That's it. One day, a person was born. He lived in Spain. His name is Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon. His nickname was Rambam. Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, abbreviation Resh Mem Bet Mem Rambam. His first name was Moshe. He was a doctor. He was a mathematician. He was an astronomist and philosopher and rabbi. And he wasn't just another person. There was a statue of him by Washington. One of the greatest 18 people ever lived. I always make fun that I say, imagine if they knew all the rabbis in the Talmud, Washington would have to be full of statues. They only knew the Rambam. The Rambam is not even 1% of everyone who is mentioned in the Talmud. So imagine if they admire him so much, imagine they had to put all the rabbis of the Talmud, Washington, all the way to Houston. It would be a huge line. Who are you? Rabbi Akiva. Who are you? It reminds me of a good joke. One Jew and an Arab had an argument, which religion has more rabbis, more smart teachers. So the Jew and the Arab say, okay, I tell you what, every chacham that you mention in Islam, you pull one hair from my beard. And every one I mention from the Torah, I pull one hair from your beard, and we'll see who's going to left with a beard in the end. So the Arab said, okay, it was my idea about the beard, so I start. So he said, okay, say, Atallah. He pulled one. So the Jew screamed, Ay, Mustafa Ibn Rahim. Oh, 2, 3. After 10, 20, okay, you're done. So the Jew grabbed all his beard like this. He said, Rabbi Akiva and his 24,000 students. Right away, shaved him completely. So the Rambam lived in Spain, and then he escaped from Spain to Morocco, and then to Egypt, and he settled in Egypt and became the right-hand man of the king of Egypt. This is about 850 years ago. Is it possible that the Torah that was written 2,400 years before the Rambam was born, the Torah will describe the life of the Rambam? Is it possible, such a thing? Well, now after 3 hours you hear, everybody say yes. I should have asked you that 3 hours ago. Everyone became a rabbi. Your job is in a jeopardy here. A lot of rabbis here. So it says like this. Hashem speak to Moshe, go to Pharaoh to take my children out of Egypt. So this is what happened. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. Hashem said to Moshe, Pharaoh will not listen to you because I want to multiply my magics in the land of Egypt. And Moshe and Aaron did all the magic in front of Pharaoh, and Hashem tightened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not send the nation of Israel out of his land. Okay. Now, there used to be a big rabbi, his name was Rav Weiss Mandel. He had photographic memory. About 60, 70 years ago, there was no computers. He was able to see a page and see things inside, patterns that we cannot see. It's a gift. So he said, this way before computers, this code. There are information here in the Torah about the Rambam. How can it be? It's a Rambam, his name was Moshe. Right here you see the first word on the right, Moshe. Rambam lived in Egypt, the second word is Mitzrayim, Egypt. Rambam was the doctor, the heart doctor of the king of Egypt. It says right there in the middle, Lev Paro, the heart of Paro, the heart of the king of Egypt. There's a lot of hints. There is only one place in the Torah that you have 4 words back to back who give us abbreviation
of the word Rambam. Resh met bet mem. Resh mem bet mem. Right here, as you can see on the top, triangles, Resh, Rebot, Moftai, Be'eretz Mitzrayim, 4 words that give us his name, Rambam. So now we have a lot of hints here. Moshe, Mitzrayim, Lev Paro, Rebot, Moftai, Be'eretz Mitzrayim. That's what the Rambam did. Everyone from all over the world was aware of him. With no Facebook and internet. Which book the Rambam is famous about writing the most? Mishneh Torah. What does Mishneh Torah speaks about? 613 commandments. This is how we start. Mitzvah number 1, mitzvah number 2, mitzvah number 3. If we took the word Moshe, as you can see, it's circled by a circle over there, mem. We count 50 letters, we get Shin. We count 50 letters, we get Nun. We count 50 letters, we get Hey. We skip all the way to the bottom, to this staff right here, circled. From this staff, we count 50 letters, we get Vav. We count 50 letters, we get Resh. We count 50 letters, we get Hey. So what do we get here? Mishneh Torah. There's only one problem. Mishneh Torah, it's one name. It should have been all the way from the beginning to the end with the same skip. Why between the Hey on the top to the top here there's such a big skip? It should have been Mishneh Torah, Mem, Shin, Nun, Hey, Torah, 8 letters, all 8 of them, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50 to the end. Why 50, 50, 50? Big skip, 50, 50, 50. Why? The answer is, how many letters you have between the Mishneh and the Torah? 613 letters. Let's conclude. 2,400 years before the Rambam was born, Hashem puts in the Torah information about one of the most important rabbis ever lived. His name will be Moshe. He would live in Mitzrayim. His nickname will be Rambam. He would be the heart doctor of the king of Egypt. He would write a book called Mishneh Torah that will speak about 613 commandments. Do you think something like this would be in a book by coincidence? You write 1 billion books, you won't have a page like this inside by coincidence. This is the answer to all these manipulators and liars who try to claim that the codes are not authentic, and they're not, and you can play with that. They're fooling the public. Don't ever let them fool you. I checked it 5,000 times. Equal, minimal, skip. Always you see what the Torah planted inside. You should know that. No, don't let anyone fool you. We say Kiddush, Yom HaShishi, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה. Yom HaShishi, look at the Yud. The Yud is with red, right? 7 letters Shin, 7 letters Resh, 7 letters Aleph, 7 letters Lamed. The word Israel is in the verse of the eternal covenant between God and the Jewish nation in equal skip of 7. No coincidence. Yom HaShishi, the 6th day, and then comes the 7th. ויחולו השמיים והארץ, everything paused. וכל צבאם, the army of heaven. And God finished his work in the 7 days, everything he created. In this verse, you have the word Israel. Why the name of our nation is Israel? Israel means Yashar El. God is straight, and we have to be straight with him. One also, it starts with Yud, which is the smallest letter in the alphabet. It's finished with the biggest letter, Lamed. The Jew in this world is depressed. Everyone runs after him. Everyone wants to destroy him. Everyone wants to kill him. Anti-Semitism will never stop. It's always on the rise. But when we finish our life, the Lamed pointing towards heaven. Lamed, by the way, it's 26, the name of God. Chaf, it's 20. Vav, on top of it, it's 6. 26, pointing towards heaven. The Jews start in this world very small and finish very big. Also, the Jewish nation have 3 fathers and 4 mothers. Yud, it's Yaakov and Yitzchak. Yud, Yaakov starts with Yud, Yitzchak starts with Yud. Shin, Sarah. Resh, Rachel and Rivka. Aleph Avraham, Lamed Leah. The 4 mothers and the 3 fathers are in the name Israel. It's no coincidence. Everything is divine. It's a divine language. God didn't say, and it shall be light. It said, Vayeyor. Should be light is already Mr. Smith and Mr. Walker and Mr. whatever. They made it up. People in all the world. The Persian, people made it up. Russian, people made it up. English, people made it up. French, people made it up. Hebrew, the language of the creator of the world. Not the modern Hebrew. Modern Hebrew is already mixed with all kinds of words. The original Hebrew of the Torah. If somebody asks you, how do you know the Torah is divine? Take right away the book of Genesis, open it up in the first page. You don't need computer. Bereshit bara Elokim. You see? You take the top of the Bereshit, you count 50 letters, you get Vav. 50 letters, you get Resh. 50 letters, you get Hey. What do you get? Right away, in the beginning of the first chapter of the Torah, the word Torah appears in equal mathematical skip of 50. Can it be coincidence? Of course not. And if you think it is, now you will be convinced. You go to the second book of Moses, Exodus, Ve'ele Shmot, Bnei Israel, those are the name of the Israelites that goes to Egypt. You take the Taf of Shmot, remember it always start with Taf. You circle the Taf, you count 50 letters, you get Vav. You count 50 letters, you get Resh. You count 50 letters, you get again Hey, Torah, in equal skip, and the second book also. Now you say to yourself, okay, twice, it's already too much. You go to Leviticus. What do you have over there? You don't have Torah. It's the middle out of 5 books. You have the name of God, Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. In what skip? 7. 7, it's a special number. Yud, 7 letters, Hey, 7 letters, Hey. Then you go Bamidbar, numbers. Torah again in 50, from left to right. And then you go to Deuteronomy, Torah again from left to right, and equal skip. So what do we have? We have a menorah with 5 candles. The middle one, which is the base, it's the name of God. Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. In equal skip of 7. Then you have the first 2 from the right, Torah in equal skip from right to left. And then the other 2 from left to right, everything towards the center, and the center is God. And that's the answer to all those who try to confuse the people by telling them the Torah has more than one rider. It cannot be. Why? How the second rider, hundreds of years later, knew to continue this code? Nobody knew about it until 21 years ago, when we invented computers. Without computer, there was no way to know that those codes are hidden inside the text. How we did know exactly to continue that one letter would not move? So the answer is, let's conclude. The Torah has one rider. He's the creator of the world. He took us, the Jewish nation, and he chose us from billions of people to be his diamonds. He told us, your mission in life will be harder than the Gentiles, but I will reward you for that. You're not doing it for free. I want the women to dress modest. I want you to eat kosher. I want you to be honest in a business. I don't want you to steal. I don't want you to lie. I don't want you to deceive. I want you to have faith in me, to trust me that I feed you and I take care of you. I want you to observe the Sabbath. I want you to celebrate the holidays. I want the men to learn every day Torah, minimum an hour, the minimum. You can listen to Torah by tapes. You can come to lectures. There's some activities. You come, you enjoy. It's beautiful to learn Torah. Nothing in life is more interesting than learning. So the more you get into it, then you cannot live without it. And all this, believe me, it sounds a lot harder than what it is. After a few months, you get used to it. That's it. You enjoy it. You enjoy it. You wait for Shabbat. Kosher food. Today you have everything kosher. You go to the supermarket, half of the items, this, kafke, almost everything is kosher today. I go to places that nobody believes there's no Jews over there. You go to the supermarket, half of the products are kosher. You go to Costco, glad kosher meat. Costco, glad kosher, vacuum packs, great, fresh, everything. Cheese, you have everything. It's very easy today to be a Jew. In the old days, everything has to be manually done.
It's very complicated, but today, very easy. To keep Shabbat, like I say, very easy. Any question before we conclude? Now it's your time. You had enough. Yeah, here you go.
They just showed us recently that the Torah is more precise even than Germans.
A little bit louder. I used to be in the Air Force, I became a little deaf. Huh?
You just showed us the precision mathematically in the Torah.
Yeah.
In, I believe it's Kings 1, there's a passage that describes a large basin. And it says that the diameter is 10 cubits and that the circumference is 30. Now, based on that, I was expecting it to be pi. Why that isn't that precise as what it's saying.
You know, there were big arguments what pi is. In the end, they came 3.14 with some more digits after. You should know one thing. Through the entire Torah, the Torah speaks in even numbers. It doesn't break the number to a lot of fractures, which means even in the Talmud, when Chachamim spoke about the pi, they did not go to all the little. They say it's approximately 3 to the 1, which means 3 times more. They didn't speak about the 14. Why? For a few reasons. In those days, people did not have the ability to start focusing on all this. Today we have calculators, very easy, everything is done for us. But people made it even number, even in weights. If it was a little bit less, they put 3 things, and so this is the way it was. Yeah.
Actually, the 3.14159 is exactly in that location there, hidden as a code.
Yeah? I don't know what exactly he's talking about.
I've seen it. Actually, I
You've seen it?
The name of Hashem, Shem, that's the miracle.
No, you know what? I'm not sure which pasuk you talk about, but I would trust on what this gentleman says. But even if it wasn't, it's not an indication of a mistake, because this is the way it is. Okay, one more question. We'll take advantage now. Does anyone here, after this lecture, who still have a doubt that the written Torah is the book of God? Don't be embarrassed. Tell me. Nobody. Anyone here has a doubt that the oral Torah is the book of God? Nobody. Next question. Anybody here think it's time to wake up and start changing a little bit our lifestyle before it's going to be too late? Who wants to stay the same exact way before he came here? Raise his hand. Nobody. I think the job is done. Thank you.